Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Rab.
Here.
Councilmember Rogers. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Nava. Councilmember Corona.
Present.
Mayor Vargas.
Present, thank you. Item 3 is our invocation, which will be led by Pastor Harold Ross of the Greater Bible Way Ministry. Is he here, Pastor? Come on up to the podium, sir. And if you all would rise and remain standing after the invocation for our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilmember Rab.
First, I want to honor God today. Could this one come up with us a little bit?
You're good.
Okay. I mean, the value, I thought I'd turn it up. Okay, I can hear it now. Yes, I want to honor God today who's the head of my life. I just thank God for this opportunity and God for the mayor and the city councilmen giving me this opportunity. Amen. Let us bow our heads and go to the throne of grace. Heavenly Father, we just thank you again today that you are God that's always on time. A God that said if we call, you would answer. And in the midst of the answer, you said that you would show us something great and mighty. Tonight, as we come together, you said, well, 2 or 3 have come together, that you would be in the midst. I'm asking you, Lord, to not just be in the midst, but just lead us tonight. Touch our hearts and our mind as we meditate on the things that we're getting ready to discuss. And we ask you, Lord, to cause that discussion to be reminded about the city of Paris. The city of Paris is a great city led by great people. That not only that the people have chose, but you have given them an opportunity to be leaders. And I'm asking you, Lord, that they concern not only for this city, but just for all the peoples that come in and out throughout this city, that they will be touched by the decisions that they make tonight, by the leadership that's here tonight. We ask, oh God, that you would be with them. And anything that the enemy himself have planned to destroy or kill or steal or do anything that's not like you, I'm asking you, Lord, to follow peace. Cause us to follow peace. Cause us to love, be a loving city, a city that's not only just built on words, but built on your spirit and on your power, built on your grace and your mercy, built on the leadership that only you can give us through your spirit. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank God and thank the Lord. Hallelujah.
Please join me as we salute our great nation's flag. Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Item 5 is report on closed session items. Mr. Koo.
Thank you, Mayor. With respect to item A1, City Council approved in closed session by a vote of 4 yes, 0 no, 1 absent, with Councilmember Nava, or I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Nava absent, a settlement agreement with Ms. Isabel Carlos and authorize the city manager to execute the same on behalf of the city. Ms. Carlos has executed the settlement agreement. The substance of the settlement agreement is that Ms. Carlos dismisses her lawsuit against the city and agrees to provide the city with the general release of liability and waiver of right as detailed in the settlement agreement. Further, the city would pay Ms. Carlos a total gross sum of $120,000 as provided in greater detail in the settlement agreement. A copy of the fully executed settlement agreement will be available at the city clerk's office. With respect to the remaining items on the closed session agenda, no reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Item 6, presentations and announcements. 6A is the City of Paris Employee of the Quarter recognition for the third quarter of 2023. This item will be introduced by Director of Administrative Services, Ms. Saida Moscar.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, staff, and our Paris community. Saida Amosgar, Director of Administrative Services, and I am honored to present to you all the city's employee of the third quarter 2023. As nominated by her peers and awarded by the Employee Recognition Committee, this employee of the quarter truly exemplifies superior customer service. She displays a positive attitude every day she comes into work, and she goes out of her way to assist colleagues and fellow city employees and our citizens. As the executive assistant for our department, she handles difficult situations flawlessly and effectively leads by example the front counter staff on key customer service skills. She habitually wears a smile and exhibits positive energy to those around her. As her director, I can honestly say that I've yet to come across a bad day for this amazing team member. As a professional, she has a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communications from St. Scholastica's College in Manila, Philippines. And she has over 18 years of administrative and executive assistance experience. She is not only a superior executive assistant, but she is enthusiastic, fun, and always willing to lend a hand. Her high standards not only exist in the office, but she also runs a tight ship at home. She is a loving wife and a strong and caring mother to their two sons, Jason, 20, junior at UCR, and James, 15, sophomore in high school. Congratulations to Ms. Joanne Ariola for being awarded our Employee of the Quarter. Certainly well-deserved. Joanne, the city is privileged to have you, and thank you for all of your hard work and dedication to the city and to our Paris community. Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead and let her address us now, and then we'll come down and take photos. We'll put her on the spot.
That's what I'm afraid of. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, and city staff. It's an honor to be recognized as the Employee of the Quarter. They say, find a job that you love,
Don't start, please.
and you will never work a day in your life. And so I did. To Ms. Clara and Ms. Aida, a big thank you to both of you. You are truly my inspiration. And to my admin family, while I like to take all the credit, I can't stress enough that my team is the most important factor in achieving anything. I love you guys. And to my family, you are my constant, my source of happiness. And lastly, to the ERC members, I commend you all for your unwavering commitment to be of service to our city staff. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
So since we're on our roll, Council, let's just go ahead and do our messaging now, because this way we're not holding her back up after we get back down. So who wants to start? Thank you, Councilman Corona.
Thank you, Mayor. You know what? Just a really big thank you for all the work that you've done. It's with all the stuff that goes on in the admin office and stuff like that. It's very refreshing to just see you all always nice and polite and just cheerful for everybody else. But a big thank you and a big congratulations to you.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Councilwoman Rogers.
Joanne, you are indeed a shining star. You inspire us all with your joy and enthusiasm in everything you do. And it's always a pleasure to come to City Hall and see you, because you always greet us with such grace and warmth, and it's infectious. So thank you and congratulations on your award. I'm so glad you received it tonight.
Thank you so much.
Councilman Rabb.
Yes, congratulations on your award. Always so positive, very responsive to my emails or any of the concerns I have. So a job well done for you, well done to your team, and may you continue doing extremely well with the city.
Thank you.
So Joanne, you are one of a kind, there's no doubt. And when we created our council offices and mayor's office, I tried to steal you over there, but wasn't successful. But you are truly remarkable, an ideal executive assistant, and this award that you're receiving tonight is definitely much deserved. And then just want to congratulate you and your team out there for backing you up as well. But you are a cheering person every day. I come for simple little reasons to talk to the city manager, and you track her down, and I didn't need that, but you still do that, so I thank you for all that you do. So hang tight, we're gonna come down, get us take some pictures, issue a proclamation or a certificate, and then we'll be done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Test. All right, certificate of recognition presented to Joanne Ariola, employee of the third quarter, 2023. May be known that the mayor and the city council of the city of Paris hereby recognize Joanne Ariola for her dedication and unwavering commitment to the city of Paris. Your efforts are commendable and are greatly appreciated, presented on this 14th day of November, 2023. Council?
Beautiful. All right, guys, here we go. Keep those eyes open. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2. Awesome. Drop the chin. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2. Perfect. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Watch her family up here and all the city girls. Tell us how you want to do this. Hi, everybody.
Let's keep going with everybody, and then we'll start separating.
Yep, everybody in first?
Yeah.
Come on, come on.
Next to James.
All right, guys, I got everybody. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2. Keep smiling. Keep smiling. Perfect. Awesome.
We got it.
Awesome. Did you want to get one with the family?
We're good?
All right.
Yes, sir.
That's your daughter? Okay, Joanne, in addition to your certificate, the city is issuing you and me a certificate to Amazon. So I have an account, so we just log on. Yes, of course. I like that better. All the talking is done. Okay, moving on, item 7 is our Youth Advisory Committee communications. This report will be given by Julie Salas, the president of our Youth Advisory Committee.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council and City staff, good evening. Hello, my name is Julie Salas. It's a pleasure for me to hold the position of President for YAC. I'll be providing you with an update on the most recent and forthcoming YAC events. To start, the YAC team is creating a sense of unity and compassion within the community by organizing a Thanksgiving canned food drive for our senior citizens. We aim to demonstrate the power of collective goodwill and emphasize the importance of supporting one another, especially during times of celebration and gratitude. If you're interested in donating, please drop off your canned goods at the Statler Youth Center Monday through Friday through 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Furthermore, as a season of gratitude and reflection unfolds, YAC wishes to express its heartfelt appreciation to the City Council, dedicated city staff members, and the entire community. YAC would like to wish you a Thanksgiving filled with love, joy, and the company of those dear to you. Finally, YAC would like to remind everyone to please follow us on social media at Paris YAC for more updates and upcoming events. For more important information on YAC or any events discussed today, feel free to dial the Statler Youth Center. YAC would like to remind everyone to remain safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Very well spoken. Item 8 is our public comment on any items that are not on the agenda for 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. John Shardlow.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. I'm here tonight on behalf of NAIOP Inland Empire, and we were involved in the parade and toy drive last year, and it was such a great experience, and we want to continue to be part of that. So our board has authorized a donation at a minimum of $5,000 in toys for the toy drive. And we're going to be, asking our other development partners and business and community leaders, to take part. So I just wanted to, provide that and let everybody know, in the room and online and in the community. It's just such a great event, and it's awesome that you guys do it every year. And just seeing those, kids smile, I just think it's so great. So we just wanted to, share a little bit of gratitude and, continue to be a part of the Paris community.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Luz Gallegos.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council and our amazing city staff. Luz Gallegos, I'm a longtime resident, and also I work here in the city of Paris. I'm with TODEC. And today, I'm here with a lot of responsibility as an organizer that was born and raised here in the city. And I want to share the struggle that we continue to see with our Paris residents, especially during these hard times, economic hard times. We continue to see how our beautiful Paris, city of Paris has grown and continue expanding with all our city support and community input. But at the same time, we continue to see the struggle with our low-income families that are struggling economically and continue to struggle as we continue to see rent prices raise. As a city, we continue to grow, but the rent prices continue to raise, but then their salaries are staying at the same pace. So at this time, working with community members here in the city of Paris and throughout the region, we are asking the city of Paris to consider adopting Just Cause that would provide an opportunity for our city residents to have many possibilities and fair and to bring justice to especially low-income families. We see how some of the families right now are struggling to stay housed, and for that's very personal, that we want to make sure that our city, as we continue to grow as a city, that we continue to bring affordable housing. We continue to see all these developers coming, a lot of housing, but we want to make sure that we are addressing the housing crisis that we see here, not only in the city, but throughout the region, and really consider our working class families that reside here in the region. We also have members here of our community, Paris, many are working, but we are here in representation of our membership here in the city of Paris. But I know they're up to speak, and I will be translating for some of them. And as they share their stories are similar to a lot of the stories that we hear every day on the ground. So we are asking the City of Paris and our council to please consider just cause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Liliana Martinez.
All right, okay, Luz,
Yes.
this is an agendized item, so when we get to that agenda item, that's when we want our speakers to speak. This right now is just for anything that's not on the agenda.
The reason is, Mayor, with all respect, a lot of our families have to go to work. So we are asking for you to consider listening to them, because two of them have to go to work here in our warehouses here, and they're going to go in, and for them, it was very personal that they do their.
Okay, well, I'll allow the two people have to go to
Just
work.
the
but
two people is fine.
I can't have the rest of everybody else. So do they need translation? Because we have
Yes.
a translator.
Okay, sounds good.
Can the translator come out, please?
Buenas noches.
Espérate un momento, señora. Michelle, can you hand him the microphone so he doesn't have to be going back and forth?
Hello.
Okay, señora.
Buenas noches.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Liliana.
My name is Liliana.
Tengo representación de TODEC
And I have-
legal. Vengo en representación de TODEC legal.
I'm coming representing legal.
TODEC legal.
Todet legal?
Legal.
Okay, thank you.
Yo tengo viviendo aquí en Perris aproximadamente 20 años.
I've been living here in Paris approximately about 20 years.
Estamos viendo problemática referente a la alza de rentas.
And we see problems to the rise of rents.
Pues muchas de las personas ganamos poco, el sueldo es
Many of
muy
us,
bajo
our salaries are very low.
y pedimos una ordenanza para poder
And we
que
request an ordinance
pues no sean muy altas.
so for housing not to be so high in
Se ha
price,
visto mucho incremento
because we've seen a lot of increasing of rents.
y mucha gente no puede pagar.
A lot of people can't pay for them. So,
Buenas
okay,
noches.
yeah.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias, señora.
Sandra Reyes.
Sandra Reyes.
Hola, mi nombre es Sandra.
Hello, my name is Sandra,
Yo soy miembro de la comunidad de TODEC
and I'm also a member of TODEC
y el día de
community.
hoy venimos en
And
equipo
today we're here as a team
para dar una visibilidad a
to
las
give you a
personas de
facility to
nuestra
people
comunidad.
in our community.
Y de entre tantas
And
preocupaciones
for all these concerns,
y dentro de las más
within the
significativas,
most significant,
giran en torno a la vivienda.
they are around all the housing.
En los últimos años,
On the last years,
los costos de las rentas e
the cost of renting
hipotecas
and also mortgages,
han crecido de manera
they have
exponencial,
raised in really high grade.
dando paso a que nuestra comunidad
To continue.
paso a que nuestra
In
comunidad
case of our community,
mayormente inmigrante,
mostly immigrants,
trabajadores del campo,
people that work on the farms and the fields,
trabajadores de la construcción,
also construction workers
adultos mayores,
and senior citizens,
muchos de ellos además
many of them
indocumentados.
people undocumented.
Es triste ver que todas estas
It's sad to
personas
see that all these people,
trabajan tanto
they work so hard, so much,
y no tienen acceso a una
and
vivienda
they
digna
don't
y
have access
accesible.
to
Digna y
some
accesible.
housing, some dignified housing.
Un gran porcentaje de nuestra comunidad
A big percentage of our community,
incluso ha tenido de
in
compartir
fact, that we have to share
la vivienda con 2 o 3
housing
familias
with other 2 or 3 families
para poder pagar la
so we
renta.
can able to pay the rent.
Creemos que el fenómeno de la
We believe
gentrificación
that this gentrification phenomena
nos está alcanzando.
is reaching to us.
Tenemos
It's catching
nuevas
us.
viviendas,
We have new housing,
pero no todas son accesibles para
but not
nuestra
all accessible
comunidad
for our community,
trabajadora.
for the working community.
Misma comunidad que todos
The
los
same
días
community that every day
trabaja duro para
we work
movilizar
hard
y construir esta ciudad.
to also to build this city.
Nuestra propuesta se basa
Our proposition is
en
based
no dejar de lado a nuestra comunidad
en
trabajadora, de lado,
not to leave aside
a nuestra comunidad trabajadora
our
e inmigrante
working community and immigrants.
y que además de la oferta actual
And
de vivienda,
besides the offer that we have for the housing,
se acepte una causa justa
we accept a fair cost,
que le dé garantías y
that we give
accesibilidad
guarantee for accessibility,
a otro tipo de vivienda,
this kind of housing,
tal vez modesta,
perhaps modest,
pero digna,
but dignified,
a la que pueda tener acceso
so we
nuestra
can
comunidad
have access in
trabajadora.
our community, our working class.
Eso es todo. Muchas gracias
That's
por
all. Thank
escuchar.
you very much.
Gracias. All right. Luz, is there any more that's going to speak later on the item?
¿Alguien que quiera hablar español y decir algo?
Do they-
Esa es su oportunidad ahorita. ¿Quieren pasar?
No, sir. We're not. You're done for now. We have translation devices. Do they want some? Oh, okay. So we're good on that. All right. All right. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on non-agenda items? Madam Clerk, do we have any more?
Yes, Miss Helen Burris.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. It's sad that I have to come here today, this evening, in regards to abusive authorities from code enforcement. I have emailed some of the council people in regards to the behavior and the conduct of code enforcement, and it has gotten abusive. I've been harassed, now I've been retaliated for the last 3 years. I have a folder with all documents of ticketing, and Kenneth has been very helpful when he was over code enforcement, but now that he's not, I have received a citation. It's a lot of ordinance violations that are going on in my community that's not being recognized through my emails. They're being ignored, and they're not being acknowledged. But unfortunately, the neighbor that I'm disputing with regarding my trash containers, code enforcement has co-signed with them, and they've gotten involved with that, and they've assisted the individual neighbor in lieu of me, and I've been retaliated against. And I've gotten personal phone calls from code enforcement on my personal cell phone that I have given any knowledge for them to call me. And that's abuse of authority, that's harassment, and it's discriminatory. And when I reached out to some of the individuals that I've met with in regards to this behavior, it has been totally ignored and dismissed. This is the form of corruption. And I'm asking for the council to please look at your emails that I have sent you all, because at the end of the day, I'm not going anywhere. I've been a resident, I'm a taxpayer, and I have a right to be treated fairly and equally, and I have not within my community that I live in, and also other communities have had concerns and problems with code enforcement as well. They think they're the police, and they're not, but this really needs to be looked into. And Alti, he also can co-sign some of the behaviors that code enforcement has played. And I've been talking to this, Senator Roth in regards to this behavior. So I'm pleading with you all to please check your emails and to please look into this, because I don't want to be harassed anymore. I don't want to be mistreated and treated unfairly and retaliated against, because I will take this farther than where I stand today. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all.
Anybody else at this time wish to speak on any non-agenda items? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to item 9. Item 9 is our approval of minutes. 9A is consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on October 10th, 2023 of the City Council and all the other agencies as listed on our agenda. If anybody has no questions, I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call a vote.
Brab, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. 9B is consideration to approve the minutes of the special joint meeting held on October 24th, 2023 of the City Council agency and all the others as listed on our agenda. There are no questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve 9B. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call the vote.
Rab, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. Item 10 is our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We will have public comment limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak at this time in the audience? Okay, council, do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, if we could pull item A for separate vote.
A for a separate
No
vote.
discussion.
Got it. Anybody else? All right, I'm looking for approval on 10B through U. 10B through 10U. Have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rab. Please call a vote.
Rab, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. Now looking for a motion for item 10A. Have a motion by Councilman Rab, second by Councilwoman Rogers. Please call a vote.
Rab, Rogers, Vargas, yes. Corona, no. Nava, absent.
Thank you. All right, item 11 is our public hearings. 10A is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order regarding the annexation of tracks 31659, 32041-1, and 33338 to the city maintenance districts. Track 31659 is located between Evans Road and El Nido Avenue, south of Lemon Avenue. This is going to be introduced by our city engineer, John Porcazimi.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. We have Dulce Diaz with Wildan to present this item before you.
Good evening, Honorable Honorable Mayor, council members, and city staff. Tracks 31659, 32041-1, and 33338 are being developed into 279 single-family homes collectively. As a condition of approval, the projects were conditioned to annex into the city's 3 maintenance districts to pay for the annual costs associated with the properties once they are developed. The proposed annual assessments for these projects are $166,885 for track 31659, $214,376 for track 32041-1, and $11,024 for track 33338. On September 26th, the City Council approved the resolutions initiating the annexation for these projects and set tonight as the date of the public hearings. At this time, staff is asking the mayor to open and close the public hearings. Following the hearings, the city clerk is to open the ballots. There is 1 per district. If there is no majority protest, the City Council can consider the approval of the resolutions confirming these annexations. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Dulce. Council, anybody have any quick questions for clarification? All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:18. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time on this item? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:18. Madam Clerk, can you open up the 3 ballots, please?
City of Paris annexation of tracks 31659, 32041-1, and 33338. Maintenance District Number 84-1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of tracks 31659, 32041-1, and 33338 to benefit zone 173, 174, and 175, Landscape Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of tracks 31659, 32041-1, and 33338 to benefit zone 138, 139, and 140, Flood Control Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time I'll call for a motion on the three resolutions. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
Rab, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. 11B is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order regarding annexation of DPR 19-00016 to the city's maintenance district. DPR 19-00016 is located at the southeast corner of Ryder Street and Redlands Avenue. This will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Thank you, Mayor.
I jumped the page, hang on, sorry. Engineer John Porcazimi. I rolled over one too many pages.
I can totally pass it over to Ken. That's quite all right. Thank you, Mayor. Dulce, please, we'll provide that for you.
Thank you, John. Good evening again, Honorable Mayor and council members and staff. DPR 19-00016 is a construction of a 338,000 square foot industrial building on the southeast corner of Ryder Street and Redlands Avenue. As a condition of approval, the project is required to annex into the city's 3 maintenance districts to pay for the annual cost associated with the property once it is developed. The proposed maximum annual assessments for the project is $25,208. On August 29th, the City Council approved the resolutions initiating the annexations of this project and set tonight as the date for the public hearings for those annexations. At this time, staff is asking the mayor to open and close the public hearings. Following the hearings, the city clerk is to open the ballots. There is 1 ballot per district. If there is no majority protest, then the City Council can consider the approval of the resolutions confirming the annexations. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Dilsa. Councilor, any questions for clarification? All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:23 p.m. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this particular item? Hearing and seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:23. Madam Clerk, can you open up the 3 ballots, please?
City of Paris annexation of DPR 19-00016, Maintenance District Number 84-1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of DPR 19-00016 to benefit Zone 172, Landscape Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of DPR 19-00016 to benefit Zone 137, Flood Control Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, council will call for a motion on the three resolutions. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Corona. Please call the vote.
Rab, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. 11C is consideration to adopt the first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order and proposed resolution number next in order regarding a specific plan amendment, SPA 21-05249, and development plan review, DPR 21-00014, a proposal to facilitate the construction of a new 300-unit multifamily residential development on 14.68 acres located at the southwest corner of Ryder Street and Evans Road. And this will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Kenneth Funk.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This item will be presented by our contract planner, Matthew Evans.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Matthew Evans, be presenting this item tonight. So the application it is before you, there are actually two. That is specific plan 21-05249. That is a request to amend the May Ranch specific plan and rezone the project site from commercial to multifamily, as well as Development Plan Review 21-00014 for the site plan, building elevations for the proposed 300-unit market rate apartment project on the 14.68 acre site. And then we'll also be considering mitigated negative declaration number 2391 for CEQA compliance. So here we have the project location and aerial photo. Again, this is at the southwest corner of Ryder Street and Evans Road. The project site itself is 14.68 net acres. Surrounding uses to the north, we have single-family residential neighborhood. To the east, we have a single-family residential neighborhood. And to the south, we have a single-family residential neighborhood. And to the west, we have vacant land. So here we have the May Ranch specific plan. This is the existing land use plan. The site is the May Ranch specific plan, and it's the commercial zone designation for the actual site. To the north, we have the New Horizons specific plan, which is a single-family residential neighborhood. To the east, we have the May Ranch specific plan R54, which is single-family residential. And to the west, we have community and neighborhood, commercial. So as you can see here, the proposed May Ranch specific plan would rezone the 14.68 acre site to multifamily residential to facilitate the construction of the 300-unit apartment project. Here you have the site plan. Again, this is 300 units in total. We have 18 detached buildings consisting of 91 one-bedroom, 167 two-bedroom, and 42 three-bedroom units for a total of 300. We also have 300 covered parking spaces, 200 uncovered parking spaces. The primary access to the site, as you can see here, are marked with yellow arrows. We have a ingress and egress, or access and exit from the site off of Ryder Street. and off of Evans Avenue, or excuse me, Evans Road. And we have one exit only, as you can see there, on the southwest portion of the project site. So here are the project amenities. As you can see, we have a recreation center, swimming pool, and various amenities throughout the recreation area. The project includes a clubhouse, and this is a perspective of what that clubhouse will look like. We have a resort-style swimming pool as well. I believe there's also a spa included. We have lounge areas throughout the open space areas within the project site. As noted in the staff report, staff has looked at the project with respect to compliance with development standards, and the project does meet all of the development standards. This is just a perspective corner statement from Ryder Street at Evans Road. And again, this is just a rendering of that main entrance as you're coming into the project site from Ryder Street. These are building elevations. These are renderings of those building elevations. We have 2-story and 3-story units, as you can see. For CEQA, this is a mitigated negative declaration. Mitigated negative declaration concluded that all potential environmental effects could be reduced to less than significant levels with mitigation measures. Public agencies and property owners within a 300-foot radius were given notification by mail. The city thus far has received no objections or environmental concerns prior to the city council meeting tonight. The recommendation, the Planning Commission recommends that the city council, 1, introduce the first reading of the ordinance next in order, approving specific plan amendment number 21-05249 to amend the May Ranch specific plan to rezone 14.68 acres from commercial to the multifamily residential zone and create a multifamily residential standards for planning area 22, as well as adopt resolution number next in order, approving mitigated negative declaration number 2391, and the mitigated monitoring and reporting program, and approve development plan review 21-00014 to facilitate the construction of a 300-unit multifamily residential development based on the findings of fact and subject to the conditions of approval. And that concludes my presentation. The applicant is also here. They would like to present the project as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Council, at this time, do you have any questions for clarification? Anybody? Don't see anything. Okay, we're going to open up the public hearing at 7:33 p.m. First, call on the applicant for any presentation they may so desire to give.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Vargas and City Council members. I am Katie Rounds with the Cadence Group, and I'm here this evening on behalf of the May family, a long-term property owner of the undeveloped property located at the southwest corner of Ryder and Evans. We are before you this evening to request your approval on the development of a new multifamily gated community. I'd like to quickly introduce my team that I have with me this evening, as they will be available at the conclusion of this presentation to answer any questions that you might have. Tonight with me, I have our architect, Chris Williams with TCA, our civil engineer, Michael Brendenke with Adcan Engineering, our landscape architect, Jack Hayden with C2 Collaborative, and our traffic engineer, Sandy Pan with Translutions. I also have the property owner, Brian Rosenstein and Keith Geiger with me. And I'd like to invite Brian really quickly as the property owner just to speak on behalf of the family history and their commitment to the city of Paris. And then I'll continue on with my presentation.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mayor, City Council.
Good evening. My name is Brian Rosenstein. 60 years ago, my grandfather, David May, purchased the nearly 1,000 acres that encompasses May Ranch. 30 years ago, he brought me here to the groundbreaking ceremony of the first May Ranch homes. He was always wanted to see our remaining 90 acres, of which this project is just a part, be developed to enhance May Ranch and the Paris community. 3 years ago, our team sat down and looked at this land and its location within May Ranch, and it was abundantly clear to us that this land would likely never be a commercial development. And given its location amongst the residential homes of May Ranch, it really shouldn't be. We decided to reach out to the City of Paris to gauge the community's need and desire for high-quality multifamily rental units. It was apparent that this was something the city and community wanted and needed. I used to be a planning commissioner and planning commission chair, and incorporated that experience into numerous aspects of this project. You will hear and see many of those considerations tonight. We designed this project to try and enhance the May Ranch aesthetic with a slightly more contemporary look, while at the same time being sensitive to the neighbors and the neighborhood. Our primary concern was to have the least possible impact on the neighboring homes, especially those closest to the property. It's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight to present our project to you for your consideration. As someone who has served in local government, I have a deep appreciation for the role you have and the work that you and the city staff do. And on behalf of the entire May family, which is large, thank you for your time and consideration, and I will be here as well as the entire team for any questions that you guys may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As was mentioned before, this project is located in the May Ranch Specific Plan and Planning Area 22, which is currently designated for commercial use. When the specific plan was originally designed, this parcel of land was envisioned to serve best as a commercial use. However, after the specific plan came to life in the late 1980s and then later revised in the early 2000s, the build-out of neighborhoods and changes made to the plan have altered that vision, and we no longer believe this parcel is suited for commercial use, given its placement in the middle of an established residential neighborhood. With the conversion of this property from commercial to residential, the May family will still retain approximately 70 acres, a commercially zoned property within the specific plan area, in locations much better suited for commercial use, which they intend to develop in the future once there are enough rooftops to support those future retail tenants. The approval of this residential project accelerates the development timeline for those commercial properties that they do own. I don't know if I'm the only one flipping this or if someone else is as well, but there we go. Okay, so the proposed development will be located at the southwest corner of Ryder Street and Evans Road in the undeveloped parcel shown on this aerial photograph, totaling 14.68 net acres. Our parcel has residential homes to the immediate south, across from Evans Road to the east, and across Ryder Street to the north. To the west is land used by Southern California Edison and the Paris Valley storm drain, creating a natural barrier between our project and any future development to the south. The May family is committed to continuing their longstanding involvement in the city of Paris and intends to be a long-term property owner and manager of the properties they develop in the city of Paris, including this one. As part of this commitment, our team provided preliminary project design information to all property owners within 300 feet of the proposed project prior to finalizing the design with city staff so we could incorporate any comments or suggestions. As a follow-up to this letter, we also held a neighborhood meeting that all property owners within 300 feet were invited to. The outcome of these letters and meetings resulted in acknowledgments of support and excitement for the project, as well as some concerns about the impact of new development that we believe we addressed once neighbors understood that a residential project in this location was a much better fit than that of a commercial, which is currently allowed by right. Additionally, the May family has joined the Paris Chamber of Commerce and has sponsored 2 of their recent events to demonstrate commitment to the business owners of this community, that we are here to support their growth by allowing additional residents to live and work in the city of Paris through this proposed project and future commercial projects in the future. The current May Ranch specific plan has existing development standards for current and future multifamily projects, which I have summarized in the center column of this table. To the right are the development standards for the commercial use currently allowed by right on this parcel for reference as well. In order to bring forward a superior multifamily community to the city of Paris, our team carefully crafted a site and building design that does not require any reductions to the current multifamily standards, and in most cases are falling far below or above those minimums and maximums as demonstrated in the proposed columns. For example, we are 5 feet below the maximum building height for multifamily projects. Our density is proposed at 17.98% when we are allowed up to 21%. Our lot coverage is only 27% compared to the maximum allowable of 50%. And our landscape percentage is 28% when only 15% is required. We are presenting a project that is asking for zero relief, and we believe we have gone above and beyond to provide a project exceeding all expectations set by the city. The proposed site plan has a main entry central to the project arriving on a grand recreation and community building. Connected to the recreation building are 2 open space paseo areas that link each side of the community, focusing on pedestrian movements and connectivity within the community. Interwoven throughout the community are typical parking and vehicular movements for easy access to all units, but are screened from street frontages. All buildings facing Ryder and Evans are oriented with the fronts of the building facing the streets to further integrate into the single-family community. While the community will be gated, we are including open metal fencing around the northern and eastern frontages to become part of the existing community and not screen ourselves from it. Our proposed community goes above and beyond the minimum requirements for amenities as well in open outdoor spaces. Some of these amenities are highlighted on this slide and include a gated entry, community clubhouse and fitness center, outdoor pool and spa, grassy paseo with outdoor lawn games, shade structures with barbecues, a tot lot for children, dog walking paths and gathering areas, electric vehicle charging stations, solar carport canopies, and private single-car garages. Flanking each side of the clubhouse, as mentioned before, you'll find these 2 grassy paseo areas. The western paseo will include a children's play area with shaded seating for parents, open picnic-style tables for outdoor family dinners, and a large lawn area that can be used for outdoor yard games. The eastern paseo will include bench seating under shade trees, a shade structure with movable furniture for family gatherings, a small gated dog park, and a second open lawn area for lawn games such as bocce ball and cornhole. The community pool and hot tub will be located directly outside of the clubhouse for easy access during family parties or events. The pool will include a selection of varied seating areas, inviting both adults and children to enjoy. Thank you for your time this evening, and we are here and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open, we're going to open up public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak from the public?
No, sir.
Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this at this time? All right. Technically, I opened it at 7:33. We're going to close it at 7:43. Council, questions? Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. So a quick question for Kenneth. I'm not sure if you can answer this, but the parking spaces. I'm concerned about, because several of our apartment complexes, they seem to not have enough spacing. But I think this one fits the criteria. What's the total amount of parking space that they do have?
I believe, believe around 600 parking spaces. I kept you, if you can bring up the slide for the parking, Matthew. I believe that based on the calculation, 638 spaces, which...
638?
Yes.
Okay. And then theoretically, if they were to run out of space, where would people park? Is there parking on the surrounding streets? I don't think there's any parking on Evans, and then Ryder, I don't think there's parking allowed, right?
According to the parking code, everybody should fit on the side, which includes guest parking spaces. I can speak to John if for some reason they need to park on the street, but everything should be self-contained on the site.
Right. And And I think that for this to be a new development, it's going to adhere to our new parking guidelines that we set a few years ago. But a few of the apartment complexes that we see throughout our city, they don't seem to have enough parking. So like my concern is that where would they park at? If it's a large family gathering or something like that, and at the same time, are they going to be limiting how many cars they could have per occupant?
I will.
If that makes sense.
I will direct the question in terms of project management to the applicant. But
Okay.
a lot of our older projects, before we updated the parking regulation, they don't meet the parking regulation that we updated a couple years ago.
Right.
But every project since has been required to do that. But
Right.
the older projects, they don't meet that requirement that this council created a couple years ago.
Sorry, I didn't know if I was allowed to come up after the public.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
So,
Okay.
So the question was, I'm not sure if you kind of got the gist of it, but the question is, if you were to rent to somebody, but they have 5 adults living with them, and they each have a car, and say 100 of these apartment units are kind of the same situation, where are there any limitations that you guys are going to impose on the renters for how many cars they could bring?
Certainly. So, it's a decision that will be made by, we're hiring a professional management company that's going to be leasing these units. And there will be a limit on the number of heads that are allowed to live in each space. And so they're going to be, based upon the size of their unit, they're going to be given either, a certain number of parking stalls, whether it's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. There's also the option in their housing package, if they want to purchase additional parking, they can do that, whether it's a covered spot or a carport spot. But we do believe that with the number of parking spots provided per unit, which is per code, exceeds code slightly, plus the guest parking, that we've provided sufficient parking for those large family gatherings or, the maximum number of household members that will be allowed in each unit.
Okay, great. And then,
Okay, hold on, let me reopen
go
the
ahead.
public hearing, because she wasn't supposed to come back up. We're going to open up the public hearing again at 7:47. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, for clear, is she are you the applicant, or who's the?
Yeah, so I'm the applicant representative. I work for the property owner who is the applicant.
Okay. So, okay. Question for Kenneth. I think that this has already gone through the planning commission.
That's correct.
5-0.
5-0 recommendation.
Okay. Now, I'm just kind of a little concerned. I think the project's great with the pool and the amenities, and I think it's just much needed. But did the planning commission ever mention anything about the wood paneling that they have on the side? Is that something that they were in favor for, or is that
They did. They wanted to add more wood paneling. They had a little bit
more wood paneling?
Just because, I just tell you the history. I mean,
Okay.
they had a little bit more modern finish, and they wanted more aesthetics that kind of, they thought matched the character of the neighborhood. So they asked the applicant to do that. And we had an ad hoc meeting. At the first meeting, they actually continued it just to make some changes, and the applicant made all the changes that the planning commission requested.
Gotcha. Okay. See, like with my only concern is that some of the homes in that area that have the wood paneling, it's kind of up to the property owners to maintain them, and unfortunately, some of them haven't really maintained them, and the wood kind of starts to fall apart. So, but I mean, if the planning commission recommended it, then I guess I'm all in favor for that then. But yeah, I think those are the only concerns I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers?
According to the plan, many of the buildings are 3 stories. Will there be elevator access?
So this is going to be a garden-style project, up to 3 stories. Elevators are not required. If we were to go to a 4th story, yes, they would be required. So in lieu of elevators, then we are making all of the first floor units will be ADA accessible.
Okay. Do you have anything? Councilman
Yeah,
Rab?
just the question on the East Rider entrance. I see the line on the diagram that's up right now. Is that going to be the gate, the entry gate? like if you look at the East Rider entrance, you go in, there's a little area, then there's like a line with the arrow.
Are you directing, do you want me to answer that question? I didn't know if it was staff or myself, if you want me to
Whoever
answer
can
it.
answer it. I just had, you said it was gated. I just wanted a question in terms of.
Yeah, so if you can, this is just an extra slide that we have in the deck here. It is not at where the line is. That's the property line. So the gate is going to be like in that center, if you can see kind of like where the two drive aisles kind of start to merge down a bit. It's right, there's like a marking there, like kind of
Yeah.
75% way down or
It was
so.
on the other, that's what I was referring to on the other diagram that we just had up. And how many cars can fit like back
Can
there?
see it better there.
Like if you see, it wasn't on that one, but it was on the black and white one. I see what you're talking about, but how many cars can fit, say like a car is going east on East Rider, how many cars can we stack there? Is it like 3 or 4 or?
Inside our property line, you can see there, I think there's a car that's kind of drawn into that, but I would say that it's, I don't know if traffic, up to 4 cars. So we've done a, call like a stacking analysis here to determine the amount of people entering, how many cars we would need based upon the gate opening, swinging, the timing of that. And we've determined that a number of cars stacking there is sufficient and won't be spilling out into the street.
Okay, and then just one last question. Number 4, marking number 4, is that just exit access or is that entry and access? More going west, like you're going toward the running path.
That is a right out only for residents.
Okay, right only. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I'll pass it through one more time for council before I close the public hearing again. Nobody? You good? I think this is a great project. You vetted it through the planning commission. They blessed it, so much needed in this area, the rooftops, hopefully drive some commercial back on your other end on Ramona and Evans, so.
Great,
good.
we think so too. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck with this. The fire chief was good with this as far as access?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing at, well, let me ask, anybody in the member of the community wants to speak right now that we opened it back up? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:52. I did have one question for the applicant. Can you come back up real quick? I just want to confirm that you have read and agreed with all the conditions that were required for approval?
Correct, we agree with them.
Very good, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
All right, at this time, I'll call for a motion on the first reading of the ordinance and resolution. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
Rab, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. All right, 11D is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order.
Don't we have to do the resolution as well?
I said both.
I recall the
called
mayor asking for
I
a
called
motion
for
on
the
both.
first reading of the ordinance and the resolution. So we're good on both. Right, we're okay? 11D is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order, upholding the planning commission decision to deny conditional use permit, CUP 22-05023, for the construction of a 395,500 square foot industrial warehouse building on 19.16 acres located at the southwest corner of Mapes Road and Trumbull Road in the Business Park BP zone. This item was continued from the October 10th, 2023 City Council meeting. This item will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This item will be presented by our Associate Planner, Lupita Garcia.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Lupita Garcia, Associate Planner. Tonight, we have a proposal to consider an appeal of the Planning Commission's denial of CUP 22-05023. The project proposes to construct a 395,500 square foot industrial warehouse building on 19.16 acres in the business park zone. To provide you with some background information, on August 16, 2023, the Planning Commission unanimously denied the project by a vote of 5-0. On August 23, 2023, the applicant filed an appeal to the City Council. The appeal application was noticed for the City Council meeting on October 10, 2023. However, the applicant requested a continuance to November 14, 2023. The project site is located on the southwest corner of Mapes Road and Trumbull Road in the Business Park Zone. The Business Park Zone that is located outside of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan allows warehousing and distribution facilities subject to a conditional use permit, provided the use fits with the surrounding area. The surrounding areas include Eastern Municipal Water District headquarters to the north, the Big League Field of Dreams to the northeast, light industrial uses to the east and south in the city of Menifee, and Interstate 215 to the west. In this exhibit, the yellow line represents the boundary between the city of Paris and Menifee. The parcels in color to the north and west are in the city of Paris, and the parcels to the east and south are in the city of Menifee. Access to and from the site will be via Trumbull Road, south to Highway 74 to Interstate 215 through the city of Menifee. The proposed industrial warehouse proposes 3 outdoor employee amenities. Truck access is obtained from Exceed Road, and automobile access will be provided from 2 driveways on Mapes Road and 1 driveway on Trumbull Road. The project has been analyzed for compliance with the business park development and parking standards per the Paris Municipal Code. Here we see a 3D nighttime rendering. This view showcases the proposed warehouse building from the intersection of Mapes and Trumbull Road looking southwest. This exhibit demonstrates the building's elevations from Mapes and Trumbull Road. The building utilizes complementary colors and materials to distinguish the base, body, and cap as required by the Paris Municipal Code. The design elements include varying roof lines, decorative cornice treatment, aluminum mullion system windows, corrugated metal panels, porcelain veneer, metal canopies, and recessed panels to create horizontal and vertical variations for visual interest. The proposed color palette includes shades of gray, white, beige, and blue. A mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project, and public notices were sent out to all property owners within a 300-foot radius. Staff received comment letters. However, none of the comment letters raised additional environmental concerns that have not already been addressed in the M&D. To provide you with additional background, the Planning Commission's reasons for denial of the project included: the proposed industrial warehouse building is not compatible in scale, massing, and appearance with the surrounding area. The proposed industrial warehouse building will not be compatible with the existing commercial, recreational, and office uses in the area. The proposed industrial warehouse project will be detrimental to the public's general welfare, as the necessary infrastructure, such as fully improved roadways, do not exist in the area to support the truck traffic generated by the project. The applicant's responses to the Planning Commission's concerns include: The proposed project will not be detrimental but consistent with the surrounding area, as the building has been designed to resemble a business park. Eastern Municipal Water District's headquarters is across the street on the north, and the southerly frontage along Mapes Road is utilized for truck access and storage of their heavy equipment. The industrial building to the south manufactures off-road vehicles and parts. The land uses to the east is an outdoor contractor storage yard located in the city of Menifee, and a hotel is not viable or permitted in the business park zone at this time. There is insufficient demand to support additional retail uses, as retail construction is more visible from Highway 74 located in the city of Menifee. Staff is carrying forth the recommendation of the Planning Commission to adopt the resolution denying CUP 22-05023. However, an alternate resolution was prepared should the City Council decide to adopt MND 2387 and approve CUP 22-05023, based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval. This concludes my presentation. I am available for any questions, and the applicant is also here with a presentation for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Lupita. Council, anybody have any questions for clarifications before I open up the public hearing?
Question.
Councilman Reb?
Yes, quick question. As this project was moving forward and the applicant was putting in for the CUP, was there any discussion for like a mixed use, maybe a portion industrial, then a portion BPO, or a smaller industrial building, or did they go all out for the almost 400,000 square feet?
We talked about that with the applicant, but they felt that going all industrial made the most sense at this location. But we can ask the applicant to further discuss their thinking process. But we did have that discussion with them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, at this time, I am going to open the public hearing at 8:01. And I'll call on the applicant for any presentation they desire to give.
Awesome, thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. We really appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you tonight. This project commenced over 2 years ago. We've worked very, very hard with staff. We think we were extremely intentional in the type of design, the type of access, the type of landscaping, and really bringing forth an excellent project, especially for this site, which has been vacant since its inception. It also Mapes dead ends at the property line to the west. And for those reasons, when we analyzed the project viability in the beginning, we thought that retail would be very difficult at that location. Obviously, it's been approximately 90 days since the Planning Commission approval. We took their comments to heart. We looked at it again, and the site's just not really accessible for a retail project, for a smaller project, and also the retail. If we were to be able to force retail there and probably be fortunate enough to have some type of retail there, it would obviously be small, and there is no drive-by residential that really occurs there, except for most homes around there are really Menifee homes. And so what we've done is we've looked at the viability of retail. We've prepared some site plans. We've had several discussions with various stakeholders throughout the city, and we think that instead of trying to force retail in a location where it really won't thrive and where it'd be very difficult to get a tenant, what we're prepared to do here today is to offer a community benefit contribution of $400,000 to plant one tree per 2,500 square feet, as opposed to the city standard of one tree per 5,000 square feet. and then to also plant 36-inch box trees along Trumbull, which is really the only traffic that would be moving by the sites. In addition to that, we reached out to 3 different union groups early on in the process. We signed up with LIUNA from day one, signed up with Carpenters from day one, and signed up with CARE from day one. This is a family-owned business. There was no community opposition at the Planning Commission. There was a staff recommendation, and we feel that this site really is an industrial site, and really the best site. There's just no sensitive receptors that are impacted by the project. So we request that you approve the project here tonight by denying the appeal. And I'm here with Russell Pierce, who's the entitlement manager. I'm also here with Cameron Benji, who's the owner representative of Blue Arch, who owns the property. And so I'll let Russ give a few words on why we, further details of why we think this site is a great site for industrial. And we understand there's obviously additional community priorities for the city of Paris. And so we hope that our community benefit contribution can go far on another priority issue of the city of Paris.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Vargas, council members. My name is Russell Pierce with RDP Development. I am the development manager for the project, as John stated. A couple of things I want to point out in addition to John's comments, and we thank you, first of all, for hearing this appeal. We came to the Planning Commission with probably 18 months of working with staff, as well as working with ad hoc planning commissioners to design the project. And one of the comments originally from the planning commissioners' ad hoc committees were that they wanted the project to look like a business park. And I think we've definitely achieved that from all the variation that we've done in articulation. Commissioner Shively, as I'm sure you know, is an architect by background, and so he was adamant about wanting it to look like a business park. The other real big hot button that I think we've done is they wanted separation between the automobile parking and automobile and pedestrian traffic and the truck traffic. This is obviously a big safety concern with the city. Not only did we do that by having all of our truck traffic routed via Exceed Road and all of the automobile traffic to the other 3 drive approaches off of Trumbull Road and 2 off of Mapes Road, but we also avoided all of the truck traffic at Mapes and Trumbull Road, which is a big plus because, yes, there is the Big League Field of Dreams further north of us, and we want to make sure that everything is safe. We've got one of the shortest distances from a project to the freeway of any project in the city of Paris. So therefore, we've got a very, very light burden on infrastructure to the city of Paris in terms of truck traffic. And we're also improving that area with a signal intersection at Mapes and Trumbull. We worked with engineering to provide that. So we are providing that as a signalized intersection. We're also doing improvements to the intersection the intersection at Trumbull and 74, which is actually in the city of Menifee, but we've talked to the city of Menifee, and we're glad to work with them to do those improvements because that's actually within their jurisdiction. And so we've done everything conceivably possible. And I must state, too, that I was a broker for about 17 years before the last 20 years in the development business. And one thing that developers have to do, it's the kiss of death to develop a speculative project that's not developed to market demand. And unfortunately, there just is no market demand for what you might consider a traditional business park, being more of an incubator space, very small units, still probably in the same gross square footage frame as what we're anticipating here, but just broken up into a whole lot of small units. And that, like a lot of the retail that you heard from a previous applicant, has kind of gone by the wayside in terms of just how everything has changed about how business is done. Manufacturing has moved out of the state to other states. E-commerce is a big issue here in Southern California, especially because of our population. And so this also has an opportunity for point of sale, which the city can benefit from through e-commerce trade. So there's a whole lot of reasons why this particular type of facility works well. And I may also add that in the business park zone, in the heading of the business park zone, it not only states that business park zones, again, subject to the discretion of a CUP, is for warehouse distribution, but for large-scale warehouse distribution. It's right in the titling of the business park zone statement. So I would argue that this absolutely is in conformance with what is zoned there and with the surrounding uses. The stuff across the street in Menifee is not really light industrial. It's what I would definitely characterize as heavy industrial because it's got a lot of outside storage, contractor yard sort of thing. Same thing to the south. Same thing with the MWD facilities. They've got all their wastewater treatment plant to the north. And so this is a vast improvement to that general location, and we're far from any sensitive receptors in the city of Paris. So if there's any questions, we'd be glad to answer them. Either myself or John or Cameron would be glad to address your concerns. But we believe we've designed a project that has addressed everything we could possibly address and still have a developable piece of property here on this site. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak from the public?
Yes, sir. Alex Zamora.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex. I'm a member of LIUNA, which is the Laborers International Union of North America. I'm sure everybody is well aware of us by now. I'm here speaking in support of the project and also of support of the developer. You know, I don't want to say it's rare, but it's kind of rare for a developer to go this above and beyond to try and meet the city's needs. I believe that this is a very good project. It's going to be responsibly built with the partnerships that they've made with union labor. It's going to be a fantastic stepping stone for a lot of the young men and women in our organization to get a lot of meaningful hours out there on the job, as well as a lot of very meaningful hours for people right in the middle of their careers, just trying to continue paying on their benefits, not only for themselves, but for their families, continue contributing to their pensions, and being able just to keep working and paying the bills. It's so important to us. And I think that a developer that is willing to partner with the best of the best in building is making is devoted to safety and quality in the city. And I think that that's a very important thing for the city. I hope that we can find a way to pass this project, and I look forward to hopefully building something very nice in the city. Thank you so much for the time. God bless.
Thank you.
Jason Baez.
Honorable Council, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jason Baez, and I'm a proud member of Laborers International Union of North America. Many of us, as well as myself, support this project. As my brother Alex said, this is how we pay the bills. This is how we provide for our families. This is how we keep our kids engaged in sports and programs. This is how we provide for the holidays and all the important things that our spouses need in the household, as well as our children. And not to mention, you know, when you add 4 hours onto your daily schedule of work, it's a very strenuous thing. And when you finally get home and you get settled in, there's very little time to connect with your spouse, your children, and often it creates an error in the home where the spouse feels neglected mentally, and the children, they start getting distant. And, you know, that weighs on us very strongly. Not to mention, When you have full gear on all day and you're working in the sun, doing strenuous work like concrete, it's really hard on the body. And when you get into your car and you start driving and your body starts to cool down, it starts to shut down. So it's a battle every day to get home and to not fall asleep. I fell asleep 3 times on the freeway. One time I was grinding against the median in the freeway. It almost killed me. So there's a lot more to it. Each one of these jobs is vital to us. It's very important. And, not to mention, these jobs in our community, they open up opportunities for local residents. Every one of us sitting here that's in the union, and I know you guys up there as well, our union brothers and sisters up there as well, it's part of our culture. We bring in our friends, our families, and it doesn't stop with us. It's a chain effect, and it changes the lives of many people, the living standards of large groups of people. These projects do a lot of good for the community. They also bring in an abundance of finances into city coffers that can be used for important things. There's so many good things that this project will bring to our community, and I just hope and pray that you can take a look at all those good things it'll do. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
Efrain Lopez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Efrain Lopez. I'm a member of LAIUNA, the Labor's International Union of North America. And I'm here to ask you to overturn the Planning Commission denial and approve the project. Because projects like this, where our members can work and get paid a dignified wage and benefit plan so they can support their family if approved, it will give the ability to work close to their home and spend quality time with family rather than spending countless hours on the freeway, traveling from job to job. So please consider my request and vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ralph Velado.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Ralph Felder. I'm here on behalf of the Southern California District Council of Labor's International Union North America. But more importantly, our over 2,000 members that live in this area, San Bernardino, Riverside counties, that work on these very jobs. Our members depend on decisions like this very one today so we can go out and work and feed our families. Let's be clear, LAIUNA supports this project. This project will provide more local jobs, help build out local infrastructure, and provide mortgage-paying benefits for our members. This is a responsible developer whose ideals mirror ours. They hire good union contractors, provide a well-trained union workforce that builds to the highest standards. If passed, when completed, this project will be one our entire community can be proud of. And to close, as these ladies spoke of earlier tonight about Just Cause, a lot of our members are just on the edge, and these jobs are so super important to keep them in the middle class and keep them able to pay their bills, their mortgages, or their rents. As we see the economy go and the way everything's just going up in price, rents are out of bounds, food so high, so costly, it's so important to put jobs out there and to, really bless these developers who want to bring their money in and build projects within our community. It brings blessings to all of us. And the reason why we're here tonight, because it's important to us to keep working. So please, take a look at what our decision is tonight and see how it's going to affect our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all.
Anybody else at this time wish to speak on this item? All right, I'm not gonna close public hearing yet, but I'm gonna open up the discussion by council. You guys can queue in, please. Councilwoman Rogers.
This is for the applicant. In my staff report, it gave us 3 different options: to uphold the denial by the Planning Commission, to overturn that decision, or to give direction for some additional options as far as the retail or commercial that you would be presenting to us tonight. But I haven't heard that third option. From what you said earlier, it seems like you're not in agreement to propose any retail or commercial.
That's correct, Councilman Rogers. We have pulled that third option basically off the table, and in lieu of doing that is the offer of the $400,000 to the community development program. So that, we believe, is a much better option, since this is just simply not a retail location, and that's really the only other thing that could be put there would be retail, but it's as the previous presenter stated, it takes a lot of rooftops to make retail work, and bricks and mortar retail is not the thing these days. You may have noticed a lot of those spaces are dark, and that doesn't do the city any good at all. So this, we figured that this would be a much better approach to it, would be to make the contribution. The city can do with it as it pleases. Maybe start another retail business in another location. However, the city wants to use those funds to put retail in a different location other than this, because this is clearly one for industrial.
Thank you.
Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. I wonder if we could go back a couple slides. I saw information about a hotel and why a hotel wasn't feasible. So my question is, why was the topic of a hotel even brought up? Is there plans nearby, maybe, or?
Yes, again, it's a viability issue. You might note also in 2011, there was a hotel proposed on this site. It's not actually allowed in the business park zone, so it would have taken not just a CUP, but a rezone, because it's not even in the listed CUP zone. So, and secondly, the Big League Field of Dreams and certainly the water park are local amenities. Yes, they do have some out-of-town guests from time to time, but it's not nearly enough to support a hotel, certainly not to the magnitude of 18 acres. And to go further than that, there is actually a hotel proposed at the corner of 74 and Trumbull Road. There's a mixed-use retail, there's a fast food restaurant, I believe it's a car wash, and there's no operator for the hotel at this point for that very reason.
Can we bring up that slide, please?
Yeah. So that would be the northwest corner of 74 and Trumbull.
Let her bring up that slide before we continue. Perfect, right there. So obviously you can't point on the screen for us, but I'm assuming that gray bottom area?
Yeah, and it's the upper left-hand corner of that gray area. The hard corner itself, I believe, is where the gas station and fast food was going to go.
That's going up now,
I
I
have
think.
seen the plan of that. I had the city of Menifee send over that plan. But there is no operator for the hotel at this point. And again, I think it's probably for the same reason that the Big League Field of Dreams is just not enough by itself to support destination hotel locations.
Okay, but currently the city of Menifee is looking to put a hotel, right? But they just don't have it up yet. Is that
Correct. It's planned, it's approved for one, but there's no operator for it.
for now?
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then are you planning on doing any road widening there? I mean, you know, I do take my kids over there to the to the water park over there, and you know, I mean, you know, I'd imagine with all these trucks going by, and you got families trying to get by in the summer, and then you know, I know on the when they do have the big tournaments where they have hundreds of people, hundreds of families over there at Big League Dreams. I mean, they start parking on the roads,
Right.
and it gets pretty crowded. So what's going to happen when you start introducing large trucks mixed with that?
Yeah, and I'll let John maybe address what we're conditioned to improve along Trumbull Road and Mapes Road. But there are dedications to full plan widths for both Trumbull and Mapes, and Exceed Road as well. But all three of those will be improved to full plan width. And again, note that any truck traffic is going to start at Exceed Road. It won't be going far enough north to the intersection. It will terminate at Exceed Road. So not getting up to that intersection is key here, because everything then, as soon as those trucks leave the facility or when they go to it, they're in the city of Menifee. They're not in the city of Paris. And Again, that doesn't, matter when it's, when it's truck traffic, they don't know the difference. But automobile traffic is not having to deal with trucks within the city of Paris and right adjacent to that intersection where the Big Lake Field of Dreams is. And in addition to that, we will be doing improvements again in the city of Menifee. There's some curb widening and I believe an additional lane that's going to be added and some signal timing changes within the city of Menifee. It's preliminary, but we have to get an encroachment permit, obviously, from the city of Menifee to be able to do those additional improvements within their city. And I want one other thing that I forgot to mention previously. EMWD had submitted a letter which we have now incorporated into our conditions as well. But they were concerned about the flooding, which happens on Mapes Road. That was their only concern, really. EMWD is certainly in favor of the project, but they were concerned about flooding on Mapes Road at the intersection of Trumbull. And through our engineering process, and our engineer isn't here this evening, but he could speak to that, and I think John could probably speak to it as well, but we have greatly alleviated that flooding at the intersection of Mapes and Trumbull by virtue of the improvements that we're doing.
Okay, and about how many trucks are going to be going to the facility on a daily basis, do you know?
Kenneth, do you remember how many doors? I don't recall off of our EIR how many trips, truck trips. Michael, I don't know if you have that, because I know the peer review was done by Michael Brown at Cadence, and he may, or Lupita may have the number of trips that are generated from that. And that's based on modeling that is South Coast Air Quality Management District, EE mods, that kind of determine how those trips are generated, and it's based on building size.
Right.
Well, we can't even get an accurate number now. You don't even have an applicant yet.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that makes all the difference in the world, too. So all we can do is speculate on how many there are. There's 45 dock doors. So if you assumed, I don't know, maybe 90 trips or something that, twice a day, they're going to be going to and from the facilities. But it just depends on how the facility operates and what's on peak, off peak. That gets into a level of engineering that's way above my pay grade.
Okay.
But it's satisfactory with signal timing and level of service at the intersections. All of those things have been modeled out to be level of service D or better. That much I do know, because you can't get a project approved that doesn't have that level of service.
Right. So speaking of spec, though, are there currently an operator right now, or
No,
there's
not currently.
So we don't know if it's going to be e-commerce.
We don't know that, but that is what the big demand is. And that's why they're kind of backing off of the bricks and mortar retail, and everybody's going to the big warehouse model, because it's a less expensive way logistically to get goods and services to the end consumer.
Right. Okay. And the community benefits, I know you guys are offering a one-time community benefit, but that's not ongoing, right? You guys don't anticipate doing ongoing community benefits?
Well, no, the community benefits would probably just be jobs and property tax revenue and sales tax revenue if it is e-commerce. Those would be the ongoing community benefits. But a lot in the way of jobs and services will all be supported, by local retail, sandwich shops, whatever, from the workers that are there. I mean, there's a whole economic modeling, again, that kind of gets determined by when we build this size facility beyond construction and into the operational phase, the benefits that those are to the city.
Okay. But I'm sure Mr. Charlo knows, though, but that we do have ongoing impacts when road wear and tear and stuff like that. But there's nothing in your community benefits that addresses that.
Not in the form of community benefits, but there are maintenance districts that we are joining, obviously, for landscape lighting, maintenance, ongoing landscape maintenance for our project and project frontage for, I believe it's the first 24 months of the project.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
Okay.
It's part of the standard conditions of approval.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all for me right now. Thank you.
Councilman Rabb, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. For the applicant, I just had a few quick questions. I think in terms of the 18-month, 2-year process, when this is moving forward, you indicated that, the site is not conducive for business, park, or commercial on its own, but was there a discussion, maybe do like a hybrid maybe like a 200,000 square foot warehouse, several smaller industrial BPO buildings, and then maybe a small, not necessarily retail, but maybe like commercial, like mom and pop ATV seller, kind of like what you have down the street. Pacific, I think it's Pacific Communities right across. I know they're expanding that in the city. Was there any discussion maybe to do a hybrid program, a hybrid site plan, or was it just a 400,000 square foot warehouse from the get-go?
Yeah, that was, excuse me, yeah, that was something that, that was, a topic for, analysis. What we did do is we broke up the building so it's divisible so that, 2 tenants could come up. But, also just because of the location on Mapes, it's better to have a single wall in terms of screening and noise. If you broke it up, you'd really just have parking fields to Mapes. And, to further answer your question, Councilmember Rogers, we would be willing, if the city thought it made sense, to leave a portion of the site. So, reduce the size of the warehouse building, for instance, 25,000 square feet, which could accommodate 2 2,500 square foot retail establishments. There's obviously a lot of parking demand, so you'd have more parking, or a potential 10,000 square foot warehouse. But if we did that, all of our information is really 2 things. One, it likely will be vacant for the foreseeable future. And number 2, it really won't benefit Paris residents just because there's not a lot of Paris residents using that road. It's really a cut through to Menifee. And then to address one of your comments, Councilmember Corona, there should be community benefits when there is an impact in an offset. But here, we're literally in the city of Paris for maybe 200, 300 feet before we're into Menifee. So we really don't have the impacts to, infrastructure and maintenance of roadways that another project might have. And we think that's why this project at this location is really the best of, all worlds, just because it is very close to the freeway. It doesn't really have to travel through any residential neighborhoods, doesn't have to travel through any intersections that have heavy congestion within the city of Menifee or Paris today. So, and then another benefit really is just lucky for us is just kind of the, we have Exceed Road, which doesn't, a lot of sites don't have. So with some of your larger buildings, you guys have stacking and queuing issues with large trucks. That can't happen here because our truck driveway is not until the eastern property line, I'm sorry, the western property line of Exceed Road. So you could stack almost, 10 plus trucks on Exceed Road before you have an impact. But of course, with this size project, you wouldn't have 10 trucks going to the site at one time.
Let me let Councilman Rapp continue if he's not done.
Oh, I'm done. No, thank you.
Councilwoman Rogers?
In light of your recent comments, are you speaking of setting aside the land or the space for potential retail, or are you talking about actually building brick and mortar there?
Well, we'd set it aside, but as soon as there was some type of tenant, obviously we would do like a build-to-suit. But you can't build spec retail just because retail is different than industrial, meaning you wouldn't want to build a drive-through. And I mean, every drive-through or retail establishment really has way varying differences in terms of, windows and how many doors are in the site, and whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a baseball card shop, whatever it might be. So
how much would that reduce the industrial project?
So we could reduce the building 25,000 square feet, which would allow a 10,000 square foot building or 2 retail pads. And we looked at it and engineered it in terms of the amount of parking spaces, the amount of, handicap spaces, EV charging stations, how much that parking field is. The parking field, would be relatively large. But that's what it could accommodate. Those uses do have a large demand in terms of just, demand in space as opposed, different than the structures themselves.
Yeah, I just have some concerns because of the planning commissioner's denial by 5-0, and particularly since you work not just with the whole commission, but with the ad hoc commissions to come up with the layout of the business park look for the industrial project, for them to still deny it, when some of their concerns was about the lack of the retail. So I want to support their decision, but I also understand that this has been a long process. So I was just hoping that we could have some other direction that might make, as Councilmember Rapp said, a hybrid model or something to that effect, so.
Yeah, and we could do that, but, I mean, it really is not a great retail location. And so our original discussions of community contribution were to offset. There's other jurisdictions that have small business grants that someone can come in, not for a corporate, not like a Starbucks, but a mom and pop wanting to do a sandwich shop, wanting to do a coffee shop. And there's a lot of great locations. I mean, if you look at 215 in Ethonac on the east side of the freeway, that's a great location, right? And so to be able to help a tenant go in there, that's a good. We think it's just better spent. Candidly, I think if we set aside that property for retail, it would never come. And so we want to be part. We obviously want to be responsive to the Planning Commission's, comments. And so, that's what we originally proposed. But we know there's other community priorities. We've heard that, the theater is extremely important in terms of the community, and so we thought that was also a good, that's why we really just didn't want to, we just wanted to throw out a really significant number that can be used however it seems fit. But we're happy to try to, fit that into the retail bucket if necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Whoever changed the screen, can you go back to the overview of all the land? Yeah. So just to be the devil's advocate here, can you first start off with, and you can have a seat for now. Someone brought up, the applicant brought up the term sensitive receptors. Where is this coming from? What sensitive receptors do we have in this area?
The Planning Commission mentioned the Big League Dreams as a sensitive receptor, just because young individuals could play at the sports park, and then the water park. And so they identified those as sensitive receptors.
Okay. Putting a signal light at Trumbull and Mapes will be great. So, as far as the commercial land, I don't see it also in this area. I can't get commercial on Ramona Expressway where there's multiple homes up there, and we have no homes in this area, so I don't understand where planning is saying that we don't have amenities there for the area. It doesn't fit there. We need commercial. For who? We're gonna feed commercial to the city of Menifee? There is no single, one residential area in the city of Paris in this area. This is zone BP, which allows for light industrial, as long as they have a conditional use permit, which is what the applicant is exactly doing. This is what this is zoned for, yet we're denying an applicant or a family business who bought property knowing that they can do this project, and here we are denying them. I have issues with that, and I don't know what kind of legal ramifications can come out of that. But everything you laid out on a screen showing all the negative stuff about this, I can't argue one point there because it's not here. And I'm not trying to just side with the applicant. I'm just being fair and impartial here, and no one has brought that up. There's not one residential home in this area that I see outside of when you look at a broader map. It's all the homes are to the east, which is city of Menifee, not city of Paris. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure to say we can classify that as a sensitive receptor because there's a big League of Dreams up above where, anyway. Councilman Cronin, looked like you wanted to say something?
I have comments.
Sure.
Okay. I think the Planning Commission had it right, though. All 5 of them. All 5 of them, which I got to be honest, it's pretty rare. I was surprised. What they said was that this project isn't compatible in character, size, and appearance. Okay, if you look at anywhere in this whole part of Paris, there's not one single warehouse of that magnitude anywhere in there. I think I drew a map from the nearest one, which would be the new one being built right now, or that just got built, the Home Depot one. It's about 2 miles, straight line, right? We're not talking about traffic. So for us to start approving a warehouse here, where Menifee's approving commercial just south of this. Now, I'm not saying it's the best place for commercial. I'm gonna be honest with that. But at the same time, it's not the best place for industrial building of this magnitude as well either. I do keep hearing that the impacts it would cause would be to Menifee, right? Being that it's barely in the city of Paris, right? It's right on the border. I think everyone kind of knows our issues that we're having with Menifee and how they're trying to put warehouses facing our residents. But I would hate to be the person that wants to somehow get even with them, to do the same thing back to them, right? I think the city of Paris needs to start being more innovative on what we put, especially in these areas right here. I mean, there's a large scale, very famous big league Field of Dreams right there that people come from all over the place. They come from San Diego. They'll come from even out of state just to play there. And what they're going to be doing is driving by Menifee's properties, which are going to be some kind of commercials that they're already building right now. And they're going to drive by Paris and they're going to see warehouse. And it just makes us known more as a warehouse city, which we already are, but more so. Because right now, nowhere in that entire area do we have one single warehouse. So my concern is that what we're going to do is as soon as it's built right there, we're going to build it on the other side of the freeway. We're going to build it up north of that. We're going to start building it up over there. And the argument is going to be the same argument that we make throughout the city, that, hey, it's okay to put a warehouse here because there's already a warehouse there from the warehouse that we approved, right, that we had to rezone. So I do get it. A warehouse could go there, but it's just not the best place for it. It's not compatible with the surrounding area. I think if the applicant could kind of go back and get something more true to what our city should be, instead of just another warehouse. Because I don't see anything special between that warehouse and any other thing, right? I know you try to decorate that corner and make it look pretty like a business park, but it's still a warehouse. You know, it's putting a dress on a pig, right? It's still a warehouse. I think that's all the comments right there. I know in the surrounding area, there are other things that you could put, right? There, just south of that, there's a lumber yard where I've gone and bought lumber, and it's very successful, very profitable. They do very well. There's an equipment yard nearby where they do rental places and stuff like that. There are other things that aren't going to have the high visible impact and the impact on the roads as a large warehouse of that size. So because of that, I do agree with the planning with all 5 members of the planning commission in that. Thank you.
Did you have a comment, Mr. Chardon?
If I may, just really quick, part of the reason for the denial at the planning commission was exactly what you said, Councilmember Corona, is a compatibility issue. But unfortunately, what we couldn't point out at the time because the public hearing had closed, is Menifee actually has an approved project at Mapes and Sherman, so just the street over. It's a 350,000 square foot project. We're working with staff right now on improvements at Mapes and Sherman because that developer also needs an encroachment permit to make really the best outcome in terms of street widening. Menifee could design it without an encroachment permit. And then on that vacant piece, just to the immediate east of our project site, also in Menifee, that is a currently that's a project that Menifee is moving forward. It's very far in the process, and that is also going to be a warehouse. And in speaking with planning staff, the types of uses about like heavy equipment rental, outdoor storage, that's not a favored use in the city of Paris. And talking, with others, obviously you might have a different, but that's just what at least the development community is being told is, hey, these are better jobs, these have better economic impacts, these come with more infrastructure, if you put a contractor storage yard there, they couldn't pay the dollars that are necessary to fix the flood control issues. The site's extremely constrained by, flood control issues, and a project such as these can fix that.
The two warehouses you mentioned in Menifee or to the east, is that obviously the one right immediately to the east, the southeast corner? Where was the other one going? Is that somewhere on this map that we see?
The other one would just be a parcel over from that
So it's
second
both
rectangle.
pieces going along Mapes?
Yes, so all along Mapes is industrially zoned, and Mapes and Sherman is a,
Those are industrial zoned areas?
correct.
So even those other 1, 2, 3 parcels going south are industrial?
Yes.
So this whole area is industrial?
Yeah, there's actually a very
Commercial.
large-scale UPS facility that has lots of trucks.
This manufacturing of custom vehicles, is that a warehouse?
That is. There's an SCE yard as well that has a maintenance yard outdoor
Where's
storage.
where's the Exceed people, those two other, what looks like warehouses?
Those are in Paris to the south? Are you talking about in the purple just south of Exceed Road?
Well, no, I don't know where it's at exact. I mean, I know the building, I'm assuming that.
Yeah,
You guys know where the Exceed warehouses are at?
Yes, is that manufacturing of custom vehicles? So we looked up they had a business license.
That's where Exceed's at?
Yes.
Oh, so that's a warehouse?
That's a.
Okay, so below that, and below the yellow line, what are those two buildings?
That is some sort of a industrial operation in Menifee.
And then below that, you have a big old L-shaped, what looks like a building. I don't know if that's a building or parking.
That might have been part of the approval in Menifee. I can't tell because it's in Menifee, but that's part of a
And then if you
shopping
cross,
center and
and
hotel.
you cross the street on there, there's a big shaded area. Is that a building?
No, that's some sort of a lumber
that's the
manufacturing
lumber
yard
area,
in
okay.
Menifee.
So there's no commercial here at all, other than what's going on right now at the bottom, which is the gas station and, which is Menifee.
Correct.
All right. I'm just trying to picture this where, I mean, we can't get commercial where I have homes, and maybe a thought process is what they both mentioned here is a mix, like a hybrid model of partial warehouse, a couple of BPOs and a different scale of warehouses, and then a couple of business POs, something, I don't know, whatever will work as far as a hybrid, model. I just don't know what the ramifications are if this is zoned for that, and we deny a person who bought the property knowing this is zoned, what's gonna, what will happen? But are you open to going back to the drawing board again?
So, going back to the drawing board means different locations of driveways, different LOS. You'd have to redo going back to the drawing board means throwing this project out and going back to square one. But what we are willing to do is lessen the square footage of our building to accommodate, future uses. Or what we think is a better use of dollars is to provide a community contribution to the city to really impact the city in a more positive, manner in terms of whatever it might be. It might be improvements to a park, improvements to a theater, having a grant program for retail, improving a city-owned property that would help, whatever it might be. But we're definitely open to one or two of those alternatives or options.
All right, anybody have any more further discussion so we can
Yeah,
come to a
just-
close here?
Yeah, just want to clarify. With the Exceed, now, I guess by definition, it's a warehouse?
No, it's a manufacturing building. I think it's about 80,000 square feet.
Okay. How tall is this?
I would have to guess probably 35 feet.
35
tall.
feet? Would you say that, Clara? I saw a street view. It's about 25 feet, maybe 30 feet, but it's not this 55-foot warehouse height.
It's definitely shorter than
Yeah,
that.
which am I concerned that it's not compatible with the character and size and appearance of the surrounding area. You know, with having a warehouse of this size, it's going to stand out. People are going to be able to see it from the freeway. You know, it's backing up right to the freeway. So as when people drive by now I know just by seeing how things are going, as soon as this is built, then you're going to start building more warehouses on the northeast side of the MetroLink and that whole area over there, which is empty right now, right? I see empty land as potential land that could be used for a time when people are more innovative than this council and some developers are. But when we start just putting buildings and concrete buildings on every single plot, I think we're doing our future generations a disservice, because it's like those Orange County cities that don't have anywhere to build. So yeah, I still think that all 5 members of our planning commission were right on this one. That's it. Thank you.
Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Chardon?
Well, I would just mention that this site could be a manufacturing site as well. That's very common, or I don't want to say very common, but it's definitely common that you could have a manufacturing tenant or 2 manufacturing tenants there. We also have, more land than other projects for off-site trailer parking, which is something I think the city's also been trying to promote, which is to have more on-site trailer parking. And we're able to satisfy that. I would just say the height is really, most of the height is architectural elevations, meaning enhancements. Our clear height is 36 or 40. The 8 feet is really to screen HVAC, sunlights, and other types of rooftop equipment. So the height really is a benefit to the architectural elevations.
Thank you. So, just for transparency purposes, there was a list of conditions made on this project?
Yes, as a part of an alternative resolution to approve, there are conditions for approval. If the council decides to approve this, plus the applicant just mentioned as part of his presentation, he wanted to be willing to add 3 additional conditions, which is tree planting.
I just want to make sure you understand all these conditions.
Yes, we understand all these conditions and agree with everything in the staff report and the 3 conditions that I discussed.
All right, thank you. Before I close the public hearing, is anybody, member of the public, wishing to make any comments? All right, we're going to close the public hearing at 8:52. Council, any final comments before we call for a motion?
Yes, I have a quick comment.
Councilman Rapp?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. I had an opportunity to meet with the applicant as well as visit the site on several occasions and drive by the site. I've driven by the site at least once a week, every other week. And this has been a very difficult decision as to whether or not to deny the appeal or grant the appeal. As Councilman Corona mentioned, I think it was very, very telling, and Councilwoman Rogers mentioned as well, that we had a 5-0 denial of the project from the Planning Commission. I think particularly 2 of the more seasoned planning commissioners, Shively and Hammond, were very adamant about the potential for this site. I had an opportunity to speak in depth with Commissioners Gomez, along with Commissioners Lopez, and they echoed, along with watching the entire meetings of this event back in August of the summer. And I rewatched it again, met with the developer on Friday and rewatched the meeting over the weekend, visited the site over the weekend, and really, really thought about this project. And I think the hybrid option would have been the best option. I understand BPO, they can get conditional use permit, but I do agree with Councilman Corona. If we keep going the route of just saying basically BPO land is industrial land, we risk getting rid of all of our BPO land without any sort of hybrid use. And I see that there are several other sites throughout the city where developers are inching forward and moving forward and are getting itchy to move forward on they feel entitled that BPO land is basically light industrial land. I have a real issue with that. And I do believe that this area is not suited for like a Chick-fil-A or an In-N-Out or a drive-through or something of that retail matter. But I do think that we could have a hybrid model in that area. smaller warehouse, maybe some cube, 40,000 square foot warehouses along with a BPO, kind of what we have further down, about a mile down the road, which they are building I think the second phase of that. So I did meet with the developer. I did express that a community benefit agreement would help, but after further review, really thinking about it, really considering $400,000, what that would actually get us as a city in terms of, do we get the $400,000, we might be able to paint our theater now, we might be able to renovate the exterior of the theater, or are we going to make systemic changes that are really going to benefit that little area? Because we do have the Field of Dreams, we have the water park, and as Councilwoman Corona mentioned, the other industrial uses there, I think they're not as jarring as the warehousing, because, for instance, you go down G Street, you have the city's public works yard. Around the corner, you have Stretch Forming, you have the coroners. These are all sort of industrial buildings, but just the height is just not as high. You go over to in the county side, you have the Salvation Army building, right? That's a kind of an industrial building. But then right next door, the county built this building that's like double the height, and it just really, really stands out. So I understand the developers have been nothing but kind in terms of sharing where they stand on the project. I understand that we've invested a lot of time in this project, but at the same time, ultimately, the people that I represent are the city's coffers and the city, and also considering the people of Menifee to a lesser extent, because they are county residents, even though they are not parish residents. So I don't think it's prudent to overturn the planning commissioner's denial. I think it will dishearten them as they move forward and going through projects. They may just start rubber stamping projects and saying, well, what's the point of us even having a planning commission if the council's just going to overturn it, particularly a 5-0 decision. But at the same time, I am open to maybe sending this back for revision. I know it's basically starting from scratch, but I think that's what we have to do at this moment. So I would agree with upholding the planning commission's decision.
So are you making an amendment to the motion, or are you? I'm sorry, Mr. Corona, let me run my meetings.
Yes, in terms of the motion, let me go back up to them. Mr. Cook.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, if Councilmember Rab would like to give staff time to work on the project and to rework it in the manner that he's describing, I think the most appropriate thing to do would be to do a motion to continue the item to date certain, uncertain.
I think based on the tenor of the conversation, I think our best bet is to deny the conditional use permit for the construction of the 395,500 square foot industrial building, and then they can work on redoing it.
Can you go back to the slide now that has our choices? IT? Go get it, Ms. Charlo. So I'm a lawyer, I don't know the process. If we straight out deny this one, are they allowed to come back with another plan?
If I may. So if the desire is that that there's still opportunity to allow an industrial building with modifications by reducing the size of the building and allowing for commercial, then a continuation would be appropriate to send it back to the Planning Commission for a recommendation. But if the desire is that should not be any industrial building at this point and rather focus more on business park and commercial, then yes, you would want to deny the appeal. And then the applicant would then need to submit a completely new project at that point and start back with the Planning Commission.
Basically what the city attorney said. Well, you're the one that's doing the motion.
Well, no, just a quick comment to that, I guess. With the applicant stated that there's no point of even trying to accommodate the concerns. So
My
I think
position. So I think I'd make a motion denying adoption of the mitigated negative declaration 2387 and denying conditional use permit 22-05023, and thereby upholding the Planning Commissioner's recommendation for denial.
Okay, we have a motion.
So to clarify, is that different from what we see here?
No, you just read it off the screen, didn't you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
So all we're doing is motioning just approve it. Okay.
We should send it back.
If you want a motion for that, David, or Councilman Rab, do you want to click on it, or I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Rapp, second by Councilman Corona. Call the vote.
Rab, Corona, yes. Rogers, Vargas, no. Nava, absent.
Okay, the motion doesn't pass at this time. My position was to allow them to try to come back with something. I know they made a comment, but did you want to say something, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the motion to effectively deny the project did not pass. So the council still has the option to, for example, do a motion to continue with instructions or do a motion to essentially approve the project as well.
If I may, I don't think the public hearing has necessarily been closed.
It has been closed.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
I'll make a second motion, another motion to send it back to staff and the applicant to see what type of modifications can be made to resubmit. To the planning commission, yes.
So to clarify, that's a continuance with that instruction.
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers. Anybody second? I will second. Where's my button to second? Okay, so I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers to send it back for
Modification.
modifications.
To look at the hybrid model and to send it back for staff to work with the applicant and then to go back to the planning commission for review.
That's the motion, and I second that. You call the vote, please.
Rab, Rogers, Vargas, yes. Corona, no. Nava, absent.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. 11E is consideration to adopt proposed urgency ordinance number next in order and introduce a first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order, amending Chapter 3.40, a marijuana tax, to Title 3, Revenue and Finance of the Paris Municipal Code. This will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor, and members of the City Council. The purpose of this item is to update and clean the marijuana tax ordinance to facilitate the administration and collection of taxes as it relates to two ordinances that the city adopted back in 2016 and 2018. The 2016 ordinance is related to dispensary and cultivation tax. The 2018 ordinance, which was adopted, relates to distribution and manufacturing tax. The purpose is to clean up those two items so there's consistency between those documents. So that's the reason we're proposing an urgency ordinance to get it adopted immediately, and then a regular ordinance which will require 2 readings. In short, this is just to clean up the 2 ordinance that was previously adopted by the city. In conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council adopt the urgency ordinance and further introduce the first reading of the regular ordinance. And that concludes presentation.
Thank you. Council, any quick questions for clarification? Seeing none on the screen. I'm going to open up the public hearing. 9:03. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing at 9:03. And I'll call for a motion on the urgency ordinance and the first reading of the regular ordinance. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call the vote.
Rab, Corona, Vargas, Rogers, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. Item 12, business items not requiring a public hearing. 12A is consideration to receive and file the presentation regarding the fiscal year 2022-2023 homeless outreach services in the city of Paris. This will be introduced by our Director of Economic Development and Housing, Ms. Michelle Ogawa.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'd like to introduce our Principal Management Analyst, Dr. Sarah Cortez de Pavon, to present this item.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and City staff. Today's presentation is an update on our homeless services outreach. These services are a collaborative effort of our Quality of Life team, which includes the City of Paris Homelessness Task Force Committee, Housing Authority, Code Enforcement, Public Works, Community Services Parks Division, as well as the Riverside County Sheriff Homeless Outreach Team, CityNet, our contracted homeless services outreach provider. The timeline for these services began when the RFP was issued on April 27, 2022. City Council approved a 2-year contract with CityNet on May 31st, 2022. And on July 1st of last year, CityNet's contract started with an expiration date of June 30th, 2024. Next, I'd like to introduce Jessica Bruce, our CityNet's Chief Program Officer, to introduce her team.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jessica Eller Bruce. I'm the Chief Program Officer with CityNet. CityNet is a 501c3 that was established in Long Beach in 2003. We have over 240 employees across the state of California. The mission of CityNet is we are committed to breaking the cycle of homelessness in the communities we serve by connecting those experiencing homelessness to transformative care and innovative solutions that lead to housing. CityNet is growing in the county of Riverside. We've been an active member of the COC since 2018, and we currently hold contracts in Corona, Hemet, Murrieta, Norco, Paris, Riverside City, Riverside County, San Jacinto, and we have a private partnership with Union Pacific Railway. We have over 28 client-facing staff in the county of Riverside. We started in the city of Paris in July of 2022. We have 4 case managers that work in your city every day, boots on the ground, serving clients that are experiencing street-level homelessness. We have a program manager that oversees this team, and this team offers street outreach, case management services, housing navigations, transportation, crisis response, and county-wide collaboration. Our dashboard year-to-date of the calendar year, I also have a report for you year-to-date since we started, but since this January, we have served over 340 clients in your city with 96 positive exits from the streets into a emergency shelter situation, a temporary housing situation, and permanent housing. These are really wonderful numbers. 31 exits from the streets into a permanent housing situation for a street outreach team. That's not usually an activity that street outreach does, because street outreach, our goal is just to end your street level homelessness. But we're actually be able to work with your clients on the streets in a long-term relationship to get them from unhoused to being housed. I had a success story today, but we were fortunate enough to, for one of our case managers, Christine, has a client that she wanted to share their story with. He wanted to share his story with you, his experience of working in the city of Paris with your HOT team and with CityNet. So Christine, can you please introduce?
Okay. So I have our client here today. I received a call from the HOT team about an unhoused high school senior. They informed us that he is an excellent student, and despite his current situation, he's keeping up with his schoolwork, has a great GPA, and he's just putting all this effort, and there's just this one barrier that he had. Since we've had him, he has got all his documentation in about 2 weeks, all his vital documents. He's been able to maintain his schooling. He's set to graduate in December, right? Yeah. So he's been doing excellent. We're now working on a plan for permanent housing. And he has stable income. So he's done everything we've asked of him in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So thank you. Did you want to say anything?
Hello. Well, all I really want to say is that I know CityNet can help me, so I know it can help a lot of other people that really want to get their stuff done. Me personally, I've had a lot of trouble with motivation and like telling myself that nothing else matters but to work on myself. But nobody else really agreed with me until I met CityNet. CityNet pushed me in the right path. It honestly put me on my feet when I needed it most. Sorry, I'm not trying to.
It's all right.
It's the best thing that I can have ever could have ever asked for, to be honest. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. That one success story is sufficient enough for, I'm sure, all of us in this diet why we pay this money to have CityNet in our city.
This concludes our presentation. We'd be happy to answer any further questions you may have.
Thank you. Council, anybody? Yes. Councilman Corona?
Okay, so you know, with the homeless problem, it's kind of an issue. It kind of has trends up and down and stuff like that. Are we seeing it in the downward direction, or stable, or are we seeing increases at this point in time right now?
Really kind of hit it. There's ebbs and flows. What we are starting to see is an increase in individuals that are coming into the community that are not from Paris. And I know we've talked about that at meetings before, but you know, it started at about 70%. Now it's about up to 82% of individuals that are transported here, whether it's by bus or other means, that are not actually citizens of Paris.
Now, based on that, do we know where they're coming from? Do we have a
Everywhere from south on the 215, you know, Murrieta, Temecula, all the way. I have some people in San Diego that have come and connected with the team. They're coming from everywhere.
Okay.
So I'm not on the, three of us here are not on the force that Councilman Corona sits on, so we're not privy to that
Yes.
kind of information. Can I ask a question real quick? 'Cause, he's right on target with that, but so why? I mean, because we're offering so many amenities here for our homeless folks?
Well, the challenge is, number one, lack of resources, especially in Riverside County. You know, there's one big shelter in Riverside. We don't have anything really on this side. We have smaller shelters. But I mean, cost of living is a challenge, you know, throughout California. A lot of people are challenged by the gas prices. You know, they're not able to, you know, afford having a car and going to their jobs or different things to keep them going. I mean, even in this market on the 215, I supervise a lot of the 215 cities. A lot of it is cost of living. That's a lot of challenges that we're seeing, that people that they have the same job, they're not getting the increase in income, but their rent is going up. So that's the biggest thing that we're seeing.
So you know I know that a lot of people, they think that it's drug related or mental health issues, which
Right.
I'm sure plenty of them are.
Absolutely.
But what you're saying is it's a lot of them are exacerbated because of the with the housing
Yes.
issues.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
But I'm asking these questions because I get.
Please do,
and
Mayor.
I get
Please.
questioned
Yes.
by my community members as to why.
Yeah.
I understand what you said, the issue with rent and all that stuff, but why are they coming to Paris? Are we giving them services that other cities aren't doing?
No. There is a direct line here to Paris that stops.
On the Metrolink?
Yes. So a lot of times you're getting people that will pay for the transportation.
So they're putting them on the bus to get them to,
There you
and
go.
pushing them
Yes.
out?
Yes.
Interesting. So, I don't want to make that next comment. Okay. And that's pretty much what I've told them, because I've heard that before. And also, in addition to that, we have our 24-hour mental health facility, so they may go there, get attended to, and then they just let them walk out the front door, and now they're in Paris again.
Yes.
So that's another factor, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, thank you.
I would just
Councilwoman Rogers?
I would like to thank the young gentleman for his testimony.
Yeah.
It was very inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
What school do you go to, young man? Paris High School. Very good. And they're able to graduate in December? Okay, that's awesome. Well, I, like Councilwoman Rogers, I appreciate you coming, you know, it takes a lot of courage, but don't be embarrassed. You know, what, if anything, be proud that you overcame your problem, and we have CityNet here to help you. And that's why I'm very proud as a mayor that we have such great services that we offer, so spread the word.
I appreciate it very much.
No,
Thank
not
you.
as much as I do, but I know you do too.
I think I appreciate it more.
All right, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. So you know what? I'm gonna go down there and give you a key to the city, pal. I think you've earned that. Hold on. You had to be taller than me, too. So this will get you into Councilman Corona's office. In my office. Wear that proud. Thank you so much. Next time, squat down. Okay? Sure, you can have a hug.
Share the love, share the love.
We also would like to remind council that the services that are provided to any of our unhoused population, they do have ties to the Paris community. So they're not, CityNet does have a triage form that they complete, and they do establish some kind of tie back to the city of Paris. So these are individuals who were or are current Paris residents. So they do have a tie. So it's not, you know, we're not just assisting everybody and anyone who just gets placed here, wanders into the city.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody else, final comments? I'm going to open up not open up, but Madam Clerk, you can sit down. I'm sorry, Doctor. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience wish to speak at this time? All right. Well, this was just a receive and file, so thank you very much. 12B is consideration to receive and file a report on and provide direction to staff regarding a just cause ordinance pursuant to AB 1482. This will be introduced by Director of Finance Matthew Schenk.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Yes, tonight, just giving a brief presentation on AB 1482, the Just Cause Ordinance. A little background on this is on July 27th, Inland Equity Community Land Trust presented this item to the Ways and Means Committee. A Just Cause Ordinance is intended to protect tenants from potential evictions. And currently, the cities of Pasadena, Los Angeles have enacted Just Cause Ordinance. I looked it up, I believe there's about 15 other cities in the state of California that have it as well. And the Ways and Means Committee, they recommended that the Just Cause item be moved forward to the City Council, where we're at tonight. Cities are able to adopt their own Just Cause Ordinance. There are a couple limitations, but the important thing to remember, provided that it is more protective than AB 1482. Couple items, they must be consistent with AB 1482. They must further limit reasons for termination. They provide higher relocation assistance. They add additional tenant protections. And lastly, the city makes a binding finding in the ordinance that is more protective than just cause provisions of AB 1482. So this was approved by Governor Newsom on October 8th, also known as the California Tenant Protection Act. As mentioned, this provides statewide tenant protections to tenants, which include both rent increase caps and eviction protections. Their just cause eviction requirements apply in two circumstances. First, all tenants have continuously and lawfully occupied the residential property for 12 months or more, or one or more tenants have continuously occupied the residential property for 24 months or more. There are two types of just cause. First, at-fault just cause or no-fault just cause. A few examples of at-fault just cause are default in payment and rent, breach of material term of the lease, criminal activity by the tenant, or refusal to allow the landlord into the property pursuant to law. A couple examples of no-fault just cause is the owner plans to move into the unit, owner plans to withdraw the unit from the rental market, owner is complying with a government agency order, court order, or local ordinance, and lastly, the owner intends to demolish or substantially remodel the unit. This, as I mentioned, this was passed in the city of Pasadena on November 8th. It was known as Measure H. The just cause went into effect on December 22nd, 2022. It was immediately challenged by the California Apartment Association. With that, on March 28, 23, a judge denied most of the association's claims challenging Pasadena's rent and eviction control policies. Since then, they have appealed the court's decision and is still currently being reviewed again by the courts. And lastly, the city of Los Angeles has had an old just cause ordinance, and recently in January 2023, approved an additional one and was enacted in January of 23. And as of now, there are no challenges to the ordinance. The last few slides are just a snapshot of what's in the staff report. This is a comparison with City of Pasadena as well as Los Angeles compared to AB 1482. As I mentioned, LA has an older ordinance from 2009, and in January of 23 updated it. This is just a brief presentation. We have Maribel Nunez from Inland Equity Community Land Trust to answer any additional questions you may have. And for the record, yesterday the city received 2 letters of support, which should be in front of council now. And that is my presentation. We'd be happy to, Maribel. Okay, come up.
Matt, we'll wait to see if we have any questions. We'll wait and see if we have any questions from council towards her.
And that is my presentation. The recommendation is City Council receive and file the report, discuss and provide direction to staff.
Thank you. Council, anybody have any questions for clarification?
Yes, for a specific question, if we could go back a couple slides to Pasadena, what Pasadena had. Okay, so I did read the staff report. It was very lengthy, but I did have a kind of question on the Pasadena. So the owner may not evict tenant who has lived in the unit for more than 5 years and is over 60, disabled, or mentally ill. So if somebody is 55 years old and they start renting, and on their 60th birthday, after 5 years, they all of a sudden they stop paying, can they not be evicted? Is that?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just to clarify, that exemption only applies to when the owner wants to move into the unit or the owner's spouse, domestic partner, et cetera.
Okay.
So if the individual stops paying rent, that's an at-fault eviction essentially. So the chart was not as clear on that, but I do want to clarify that exemption for those 3 types of individuals applies for whenever the owner wants to basically move
Take the
into
property back.
take the property over and put someone like a family member or somebody, a grandchild or whoever, or themselves, for example, to move into the unit.
So they wouldn't be able to do that?
If the individual qualifies for that, that's correct.
Okay, so if I'm the property owner and I'm living in an apartment, and I have another property and I'm renting this out, if I lose my other property for whatever reason, burn down or whatever, I can't go into my own property? I'd have to find somewhere else to go.
Correct. You wouldn't be able to say there's an individual who's over 60, lived there for 5 years.
Okay.
You couldn't pick them and then you yourself move in. That's my understanding of the way it works.
Okay. Okay, now if they have one room, I couldn't occupy another room in there. That's their whole.
Well, you're not evicting them at that point. I guess,
sharing.
but you would also be changing the terms of the lease. I mean, it gets into the weeds about
Gotcha.
it, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just one specific question I read in that.
Did you want to clarify? Maribel, did you want to make a comment? Pull the microphone down. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, I mean, Ryan Bell, who from Tenants Together couldn't join, but he's listening in and weighing in, and there's things that I can't answer. So to your question, and what's here is specifically just the owner move-in option, not just, yeah, so that's the owner move-in, yeah. And if the person moving in is 60 or over disabled, they can, but it's that's the owner move-in.
Thank you.
And then I wanted to mention with the Pasadena, what was on the comparison chart. I did send out an email clarifying some of the details of the Pasadena Just Cause ordinance. So if I don't know, if y'all want to look at more, like there's been, so there's some, sorry. So it's not completely, not all the information that's in that comparison chart is correct. So the part about the second page about that it does not apply to single-family homes or condominiums. So the Pasadena Just Cause ordinance went further from AB 1482 because it only includes the apartments, but Pasadena includes, through the Just Cause and everything else, it includes all of the units, single-family homes and condominiums. So on the second page of that comparison chart, I did want to clarify that. And then we can always email you a more synthesis, but I just email you during the city council meeting some of the synopsis of some of these things. So I did want to mention that.
Thank you. Anybody else on the council?
I have one question for our attorney. When the Ways and Means Committee heard this, we were very interested in this because we do have a lot of people in the city of Paris that are renters. It's comparing Pasadena and Los Angeles. I know Pasadena is a charter city. Is Los Angeles also a charter city, to my
Yeah.
knowledge?
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to, are there any cities that are not charter cities that have enacted this?
That's a good question. I'm not aware of any, but I couldn't say that there are no general law cities like us that have enacted this as well.
Okay, that was my one question.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Councilman Corona?
I'm wondering, do we have any data on how many residents of Paris had to use or the AB 1482? Do we have any data on that?
No, we don't today. We can provide it at a future date. We don't have that information today. I don't, we have that information.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Okay. Do we have any information on how many of our units are rental units?
Not at the moment,
Not
no.
that? Okay.
We'll have to look into that one.
I wonder if we could break that down also with single-family homes as well too, because I know after the economic crash in 08, people, Orange County investors just came in and bought houses by the dozens, and they're still currently used as rental units.
Okay, sure.
But going to Ms. Nunez's point, there are a lot of rental units that are single-family homes that were originally meant to be, starter homes.
I had a question.
Yes.
In terms of Pasadena, from what I understand, they have their own unit or own segment of the city that monitors evictions that are not for cause or at cause. Is that correct? Like it's not a defense. Like if you go to eviction court, you can say, "Hey, Pasadena's law is this." They actually have like a unit that monitors and enforces it. Okay.
Yeah, and for them, it's because, we have state law, but no one here to enforce it, right? And so they do have a rent board to oversee some of that. And I think they have their own, I think they're charging $200 per unit for landlord for us a cost. So they're able to generate some of those costs that could come with it. And so I know that every city does it differently. They don't have to say, oh, we need to have a rent board right now, right? You could always do it in pieces, right? But I know that for them, they have a rent board. It was through a measure, right? So I know Santa Ana was something similar that I think we had shared with Mr. Matthew. So then, so they do have an entity that, and I think one would say that there's a good, I know part of the report brought some of those questions, but I think that it's costing the community or the city more money getting people evicted. You lose residents, they don't contribute to you, because, working class folks, they shop locally, right? And more sales tax, more revenue. So I think it's an investment, right, for our communities. So I think in itself, you could set it up in a way, you could do it in phases or come up with funds and you could have working with staff, as with the current staff, whatever makes sense to set this up, what makes sense for your city.
The one other question, thank you for answering that. The other question would be in terms of educating, the judges and commissioners, but most of our cases are, if there are cases, they go to Moreno Valley Court. Just would there be a process making sure that they know when they get a case within the city limits of Paris, they would know that Paris is different from Moreno Valley or even the county. That would just be my concern, is that we have this law in the books and it goes, these people are going to eviction court, or there might be an eviction proceeding, and they go to court and the judges or commissioners are like, well, this is the law of the state, and they just evict them or they side with the landlord. Would there be like a way we could maybe set them down or partner with the state of California, the Superior Court of Riverside, to just inform the?
Yeah, absolutely, because that's the collaboration you see in other cities. As you know, there's other cities that are doing this. And then with Pasadena, there's also South Pasadena, right? So there's those neighboring cities that look very similar but different, right? Just whatever the city council makes sense with the residents. I was going to also say that I'm also, we're going to be working with Moreno Valley on inclusion housing. That might be something we're going to be doing there. And so those issues of tenant protections and things like that, definitely, in Riverside, they're doing it as well, like inclusion housing and things like that, that relates to these tenant protection issues. So I think definitely working with the staff, I really appreciate Matthew and then the Ways and Means Committee in listening to the residents, some of our thoughts. But yeah, we're definitely, and our organization could be also a resource to provide trainings or letting the community know, or flyer, canvas to kind of get the word out. We could be a partner to help get that information out. I know Todek, I know there's Bordando Nuestras Raíces, Ms. Rosa, from folks, and then people of Paris, Pope, are here too. So we're all here to, and they'll share a little bit more. We're here to help with our community.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Mariana Fawaz.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff of the Paris community. My name is Rana Fawaz, and I'm a resident of Paris. I've been here for 10 years, and I attend Orange Vista High School, and I'm a member of the youth. I'm a youth member of the people of Paris. I'm here tonight to make a public comment in support of Agenda Item 12B. By adopting these protections, the City of Paris can positively contribute to creating a more secure living environment for renters, fostering community stability, and most importantly, assuring housing remains accessible for all of our residents. I respectfully urge you to lend your power in supporting for renter protection ordinances for the city and the people of Paris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emily Munoz.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, and Paris community. I am Emily Jane Munoz, a student at Orange Vista High School, a resident in Paris, California, and a youth member of POP, People of Paris. I am in support of Agenda Item 12B. I have lived here my whole life, and I have been growing up seeing homelessness and friends going through hardships behind rent being too high. This is everywhere, especially in the heart of Paris, being downtown Paris. This is a problem we can solve with passing 12B, which focuses on tenant protection. Rent is way too high and is a main cause of homelessness, and it is a common hardship. Personally, it pains me to see our city not doing the bare minimum to help the residents of Paris. We're also being left behind by not having the 12B passed. Pasadena, as mentioned before, has passed an amendment similar to 12B and are doing well. If they can do it, why can't we? This will benefit our city for the better. If 12B is not passed and our fellow residents continue unprotected, our city's housing and community will suffer. I respectfully urge you to lend your power in support of renter protection ordinances
for the city and people of Paris. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Janet Bernabe.
Hi, good evening. I know it's a little late, but good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and Paris community. My name is Janet Bernabe. I am a 30-year-plus resident of the city of Paris, and of course, I'm a mother, and I'm here today in support of item 12B. And I've mentioned before with our youth, I am the founder of People of Paris, and it's an advocacy group for youth to oversee the community's well-being as a whole. I'm seeking today that the city direct the staff to draft a just cause ordinance we need to have to create for sustainability. By implementing measures such as rent control and just cause eviction protections, the city of Paris can contribute to creating a more secure living environment for renters, fostering community stability. This is something that we need in our city. I have been seeing, as I mentioned, I've been a resident for a while, and I've been seeing the rent going up. And I say that, I'm fortunate enough to say that my father left me his home. My father passed away of COVID. So I'm here today, in order to be able to support this and, have you use your influence of your voice to support the renters protections. As mentioned, we one of the youth that came earlier. It's something that we keep seeing, and having our youth homeless, it's just unacceptable, especially in a country that, we're supposed to be wealthy and be able to take care of each other. So I'm here today, again, I see my time's still going up, to urge you all to use your voices and rent protection ordinances for the city of Paris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diana Cortez.
Good evening. My name is Diana Cortez, a resident of Paris, student of Orange Vista High School, and a youth member of People of Paris. I'm here to support 12B because responsiveness to housing crisis acknowledges the ongoing housing crisis. There are many challenges faced by the renters in Paris, causing them to be evicted. I stress the urgency of taking action to ensure housing remains accessible for all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
David Covarrubias. Blanca Lopez.
Good evening, Council. My name is Blanca Lopez. I want to acknowledge the youth that have spoken here today. They overextended themselves, could only stay till 9 p.m. It's a school night for them, and committed themselves to staying here past the time that they allotted themselves for, because this is important to them. And I just want to acknowledge that tonight, we've heard, even before this agenda item, from a homeless youth in our community, and then these students who, normally you wouldn't think about the youth having to think about homelessness as an issue at their age, in high school, and so I think that in itself is a huge impact, in just like them having to have these types of issues weigh down on them when they should be more focused on high school, sports, prom, things that are much less daunting than secure housing. With that said, the topic has also been brought up that single family homes in our community are often multiple family homes. That's just a very common thing in the city of Paris. The just cause renter protections and rent control are fundamental for our communities, and they're necessary to ensure safe and secure housing. Housing is a fundamental human right. I'm sorry, I think I forgot to introduce myself. Just speaking about the youth, I just got caught up, just thinking about how great they've been tonight. But my name is Blanca Lopez, and I'm also a board member of the Inland Empire Community Land Trust. And so I'm speaking here as a Paris resident, a homeowner in the city of Paris, and a board member for the Inland Empire Community Land Trust. And so tonight, as an IECLT board member, I ask that the council provide the necessary safeguards to the tenants and the residents of the city of Paris during this ongoing housing crisis. For many residents, housing is not their only worry, right? They're thinking about transportation, auto repair, full-time employment, having full-time employment, healthcare, securing food, their safety, safety of their children. And so this council has the power to respond proactively to the needs of Paris residents in this ongoing crisis by preventing displacement and creating stability in just one major aspect of a lifestyle that's necessary and vital to us all, which is our homes and our housing. I urge you to contribute to the well-being of Paris residents by adopting and enforcing just cause protections, rent control. If we want to reduce the homeless population in our community, we must ensure that housing remains accessible for.
Thank you.
That is all.
David Covarrubias is in the room.
Oh, do you want?
What did she say?
That is Maribel Nunez.
Yeah, and I know Todek was here too, and I know they had to leave as well, but I wanted to also put on record, you should have received a petition, 53 names of residents from Paris, that they want a just cause ordinance similar to Pasadena's or other similar ordinances. And then 40 people or so wanted also, people that we just, reached out. And that's just via texting. If we were to canvass, we could have had hundreds and thousands of signatures. 40 or plus folks, we also got names for, that you all have, that support affordable housing. And I wanted to mention that in regards to this work, I really appreciate Paris, really. I met with most of you. I appreciate just the welcomeness and openness, and that Paris could really set history here in the Inland Empire, right? Because I just feel like everything was aligned with the residents being supportive, a very progressive city council. So I really wanted to thank, and I'm excited to work with you all and let Paris be that first city that we could really move things forward. I know Palm Springs has done a couple of things here and there, but and other cities are definitely going to be catching up as well. I wanted to mention that in regards to this work, all of us could be one paycheck away, right, from being homeless. All of us could be vulnerable. And even like my compañera Blanca said, that's a single family home that some people live in and they become my family, right? And so just thinking some of that. And I will say that if Paris passes a just cause ordinance, let's say try to include something with rent control or other things that could go beyond just cause. Those things go hand in hand. That's what the 53 or so voters that we reached out to would want to see, that we could come back to. And it's an investment. It's an investment for your residents and not think of it as a cost. And like I said, Pasadena has, going up against the California Apartment Association and has won. And so I think we're seeing other cities also, that are winning all across the state. And a lot of us will be also pushing for a ballot measure too, to go further than what we can, because I know there's limitations of what the city can do if we don't fix what's at the state level. So believe me, we're working at the state level, county, everything that you can think of. And then, what was I gonna say? Just wanted to say thank you and look forward to working with Matthew, other folks here, and wanted to thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is all.
Okay, anybody else in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Okay. Council, it's your pleasure. Comments, discussion.
The Ways and Means Committee wanted to bring this to the City Council for input, but we highly recommended the looking into a just cause ordinance.
Well, shouldn't the Ways and Means Committee have, I thought we sent it to the Ways, did we discuss this before at a meeting? And sent it to Ways and Means to begin with? Maribel was here before. How did it, that's how it got to Ways and Means. So Ways and Means, the hope was for you guys to come back with the plan, and then we start working from that. Because my recommendation is send it to Ways and Means and come back with and work with staff to come up with a proposal if they want to go forward. Councilman Rab?
I was under the impression when I saw this on the agenda is that before Ways and Means invested time in it, they kind of wanted to get the consensus of the council to move forward on it. And I know Ms. Nunez had reached me, I believe it was in May, and then I informed her that the best means of moving forward was the Ways and Means Committee. I think it's good that we move forward on this. I think certain things need to be worked out in terms of the enforcement mechanism. How much involvement will the actual city of Paris in terms of our staff are involved in? I do believe we will have some involvement, which is good. I think the main points of involvement are educating the tenants of their rights, educating the landlords of their responsibilities. I know it'd be easier to, we've had a lot of apartment development that's coming into the city, educating them, but also educating the mom and pop landlords, the people that might have 1 or 2 units. I think some of the things with the Pasadena unit, like Councilman Corona mentioned, the 60 or over, not being able to evict them even for cause. If you wanted to move into your unit, I think that might be a little too onerous, maybe 80, 75. But I do believe that the basic structure of the just cause is needed, because I know a lot of people, they've been forced out of Paris. A lot of people I grew up with are living out in Hemet or even further out. Paris, a lot of my neighbors, they've moved out and had to go to other places or moved in with family. So I do think it is something that we should come back on. But I think my major concerns would just be making sure that the people are educated. And as I mentioned earlier, the court commissioners and any of maybe we can partner with some of the legal aid agencies to make sure, take some of the burden off of city staff so the word gets out there. And I think, I'm not, at this point, I don't think it would be prudent to charge maybe the small mom and pop landlords, the elderly people that are renting out like a back house or a casita ADU, or the people renting out places next to them. I think maybe in terms of the bigger units too, we want to balance, making sure that they're responsible, but at the same time not scaring them away, because we do need multi-unit family. But overall, I'm generally supportive of what we discussed today for workers' protections.
Maribel, please, you can sit down. Anything else? Councilman Corona?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Well, just want to thank everyone else for coming out and speaking your voice regarding this issue. I know it's an issue that affects many of our residents, including the ones who rent. Me being a teacher, I see multiple of my students who are cousins and they live in the same home, right? If you go down the street that I grew up on, where we used to play soccer, because it was a nice open street, it's impossible to do that now because there's cars just backed up because so many adults are having to share one house. And I look back at 2008 of the economic crash that happened, and so many people lost their homes, but instead it was these investors from Orange County just buying up dozens of houses at a time. And I think those people are the ones that we should really, I'm not talking about the person that works hard and gets another home, right? And just kind of either they downsize, right, which I plan on doing in the future after my kids leave, right? Because I don't need my 2,700 square foot house, right? I'll be happy with a 1,200 square foot house. So there's gonna come a time where I might still want to keep my house, and maybe I just want extra spending money to go travel, right? I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that are using single family homes, starter homes that people were just raise their young family in and then move on to another house. But they bought those houses, and then they charged exorbitant amount of rent, and I think it's an issue that's going on nationwide as well too. I read somewhere where the rent has increased 4 times the rate of wages. So I mean, when you think about that in context, right? Things just keep going more expensive, but rent is even outpacing that. So we all complain about the inflation and everything's going up, but rent's even going higher than that. Now, for all of us here on Dias, we're all homeowners, right? So I know what my mortgage will be next month and even next year, right? Taxes go up a little bit, insurance goes up quite a bit here and there, but does it go up at the amount that rent goes at. So I think we do need to do something. I think we need to fit it more into what Paris needs. I know Pasadena did something that works for Pasadena, but we gotta do something that works for Paris as well too. One concern I did have that I think we do need to talk about is how are we gonna pay for it with the resources, right? Because I think on there we're estimated about $40,000 that the city will have to incur to kind of help enforce this. So seeing who could maybe fund this, I'm thinking we talk to those landowners that own five single family homes and have them pay an extra fee into this. If we could look into something like that. But I'm definitely want to move forward and looking into this. I think it's something that's needed. I think everywhere in California needs something. I think what California did was good with 1482. I don't think it goes far enough, unfortunately. I think what we need to do is start looking at the numbers specifically on how it applies to the city of Paris. But that's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Anybody else? So I have two options here that I'd like to recommend. A, we either do a workshop all together with the council, or it goes back to Ways and Means, because two people represent our community, our constituents, and with staff, and come up with an idea. You've heard some comments on the dais, what they want to see. So I'm gonna leave it up to the council if you guys want to do a workshop, or just go back to Ways and Means, put something together, and then come back for full discussion with the council, which is what I really wanted to do the first time.
I'd say if we could send it back to Ways and Means. I do believe when it comes back to the council, I guess the most conducive discussion would be maybe a workshop. I know we've done workshops down there where we're.
So let's do this. Let's let it go to Ways and Means, if I can get you to motion that. But it doesn't come back here. It goes back to a workshop with all of us. This way, we just have a fully dedicated few hours to then hash it all out, to fine tune it.
Yes, I'd make a motion that it goes to Ways and Means and that it returns back to a council for a workshop, and that we try to do it with haste. I know the holidays are coming up. I just don't want to get it where we're coming back in, I know I just made a motion, but where we're coming back in May or June, but maybe late February at the latest for our workshop.
Well,
We won't be able to have Ways and Means because our colleague is on leave right now.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to be time specific either. As soon as we can get to it, it's important, right, but I want to make this, get it done properly. But I don't want it a workshop before a regular meeting. This is a workshop that's a standalone emergency or special meeting, however you want to call it, so that we're not saying we only got an hour to work this out and then we got to go to a regular meeting. This needs to be a separate workshop all by itself. Okay? Did you have a comment, Councilman Corona?
Yes. So I've never been to the Ways and Means a committee meeting, but I would take it that the community involvement is going to be allowed to.
Oh, yeah,
give their input.
it's open to the community.
Okay.
It's that's Mary Bell and her group were there the last time.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, there's the motion, we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, you want to push the buttons, you guys, so we can
Oh, yeah,
get it
motion.
recorded? You call the vote, please?
Rab, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, absent.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Sorry I didn't acknowledge your, thank you. Okay, it's been a long night, folks, so thank you, everybody. Appreciate your patience. Item 13 is our council communications. Councilwoman Rogers, excuse me.
In light of the time, I will hold my comments to the next meeting.
Good idea. Councilman Rab?
Want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and hope everyone had a happy Veterans Day. The parade was amazing. Thank you.
Councilman Corona?
I'm gonna be brief. With the events that the city's done with regards to Halloween, with Todic had their event as well too. With the bike ride that happened, the Filipino event. With the Romoland School District doing a new school in South Paris was amazing. And then the Veterans Parade, I want to give a special thank you to my colleague Councilman Rab for being a veteran, and to Stephen Hill, our PIO. And then for the event today was a fantastic event. It was it's not ribbon cutting for Copper Creek, but I guess it's a groundbreaking for the redoing for new improvements at Copper Creek. But just thank you to all the staff and to all the residents that came out. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a long list, and I'll weigh that till next meeting. Item 14 is our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to announce that the Take a Hike event will be held at Lake Paris Recreation Area this weekend, this Saturday on November 18th, weather permitting. And just lastly, I just want to bring up that our Emergency Services Manager, Veronica Arana, and team held a very successful emergency management response team CERT class a few weekends ago, and that we had a great turnout, and we hope to host more of these events.
Active shooter, too.
And then active shooter, so great job. That was a very wonderful event, well received by the community. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. All right, everybody, thank you for being brief. Again, thank you, everybody, for coming out. I'm sorry it took this long, but sometimes it goes that way. We are adjourned at 9:55. Have a good evening. Drive safe. We'll see you next time.